Hey now. Hey now. Oh, look at that. You already got comments in the chat. Hell, well, all right then. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Can't stop addicted to the shindig.
Well, hey now. Happy Sunday, everybody. How's it going? Show 229 here of the Pucknologists. Welcome to the often imitated, never duplicated, original, live, unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, commercial-free San Jose Sharks podcast, here to wrap up your week in Sharks hockey, part of Teal Town, USA. Remember to like and subscribe. I don't think you can do a video without saying those magic words. Leave your takes in the comment section if you're not with us in the live chat. Thank you so much. And so what had happened was, well, the Sharks went 1-2-0 this week. Now 10-15-5, good for 30th in the league, right where we want them, baby. Eklund gets an overtime winner wearing that cape in DC. Vanecek gets absolutely shelled in Tampa. And the Sharks cannot find a power play with 2 sticks and a map in Florida. Oh, and to top it all off, the Sharks broadcast continues to suffer with a lot of unforced errors. But first, big anniversary for me to celebrate. A year ago yesterday is when I had my heart attack. So I circled the sun since then one more time. And a year and 2 days ago was the last time I've ever had a cigarette. So these frosty beverages are going down real nice today is what I'm saying. Ian, what did you think of this week in Sharks hockey?
I mean, it was an interesting week, because they beat the Capitals, and then I was on the
And there
show
was hope?
after. Yeah, I was on the show after the Capitals, right? And like everyone's like super up and excited. And don't get me wrong, like I understand people being happy. When the Sharks do good, it's good. This is something that I've said a lot. However, someone pointed out, but they're just like so many points out of a wild card spot. I'm like, okay, whoa, pump the brakes. And then people got mad because I was being too negative on this team that was apparently unbeatable now. And then the rest of the week happened, and I sat back, I smiled, and once again, I was right.
Wow. Okay. So let's start off with the good game that began the week. Sharks at Washington. Blackwood starts. That would tend to be a theme this week. Oof. But this is a game where after beating Seattle twice at SAP, then in Seattle, then they have to go all the way out from one side of the coast to the other. And you're kind of going, oh man, against the highest scoring team in the league, this has the makings of being an 8-1 blowout. And you're like, oh no, that would come a couple days later.
Correct.
This one against Washington, Sharks poured on more shots as the game went on, limited Washington as the game went on, and then ends up getting this, double minor after Wilson sticks Celebrini in the face. And so they start OT with 140 of power play time. Boom. You love to see it. Blackwood, just fantastic. You'd like to obviously, hopefully, see some more defense here, but you're going, wait a minute, 3 wins in a row, 4 of 5. What is happening? At that point with this the Washington game, what is it that stands out for you where you're kind of like, oh God, damn you for giving me hope?
I thought they just played like a really good complete game in Washington. And I think that, it's interesting because like some of the Eastern Conference teams, like I don't watch play enough as I probably should. So I was curious to see what the Capitals would look like, right? And I thought that they played well, and I can understand like they made a lot of moves in the offseason that were, I think, really smart. But I still think they're punching way above their weight.
Yeah, I feel that. If we're having any streaming issues with us tonight, I mean, hopefully the audio is at least coming through, but we did notice some things before we went on air that maybe it's a little laggy. So hopefully that doesn't. I could give a shit about the video. It's the audio that I care about. So hopefully that's coming through. Okay, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so yeah, Felix is saying audio is great. The video is a bit rough and choppy. That's fine. We can deal with that.
Fantastic.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, close your eyes. Just hang a shark.
back.
Yeah, lean back. Close your eyes. We'll talk in softer voices. Just put a Sharks T-shirt on the front of your computer screen.
We both have faces for radio, so I mean, like, you're not missing anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the thing is that I do have a couple visual things to show, so it kind of fucks
That's
it
true.
up. Anyway,
Okay.
but something that occurred, and and I said I was not going to pile on. I was trying not to pile on, but if you don't want the guy at the plate to bat flip, then don't allow him to hit the home run. NBCSN, I don't know what you guys are doing. I mean, we're at like 30 games in. They did a Toffoli interview. You couldn't even hear Toffoli. The audio was horrible. They had mismatched audio during the post game, which, oh my God, it was so funny because they evidently, for whatever reason, didn't do the post game from the San Francisco studio. There must have been some conflict with the Kings or the Warriors or whatever. So they basically have Randy and Drew do it. And at the end of it, then they roll to that pre-recorded thing where it's like, Sharks post game brought to you by Toyota, the best car you can buy, blah, 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 blah. And when it went into that pre-recorded part, you would have thought that since it's pre-recorded, the audio would be dialed in, but nope. So goes from Randy and Drew right at an 8 or a 9 volume level, right where they're supposed to be. They cut over. They start playing the video clip. You hear the music, dun, 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 or whatever the hell it is, and then and you hear all of a sudden you hear this barely audible. It's like Sharks postgame brought to you by Toyota, the best, and it just ridiculously like somebody found the volume and went, oh shit, does that. They had a double bug in the upper right-hand corner. So the little NBC Sports thing, if you looked, it was actually, there was one on top of the other, and they were like off by like a half an inch. It was just like, I don't even know what you guys are doing here. It's like, and again, they didn't do the usual post game from San Francisco, which is probably the best at this point. So, basically what I'm trying to say is if you don't want to see somebody do the gritty, don't let them score. And you guys just, do you practice? Do you take note of these mistakes? I don't know.
Yeah. On that note, I think it was last week we were talking about this, and I said that that the Sharks might have been the only NBC affiliate left. I was incorrect, obviously, because NBC is obviously in Philadelphia, where I think they're based out of. So that doesn't shock me at all. So Philadelphia is still an NBC broadcast.
But oh my God. I mean, the cost cutting. Anyway, so the Sharks head down to Florida, and that's when reality was a bucket of cold water in the face. Vanecek would start. I think it was 7 minutes into this game. I tweeted out, I'm gonna pull him. So he, Warsofsky waited until the end of the first. I'm not really sure why, but anyway, Vanecek.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I was gonna say because I remember I was on the post game for this show too, for this game too, and I just and I don't know, I forgot to check the comments to see if there was an answer to this, but I don't feel like he's ever I feel like every time he's pulled a goalie, it's always been in the intermission. I don't think Warsofsky's pulled a goalie in the middle of a period.
You're correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and Vanecek yanked for the second time. Previous was in Pittsburgh on November 16th, although that was, quote, for an undisclosed reason because #Teal Curtain. Right?
Correct.
Blackwood had been pulled once so far. That was in an 8-3 loss to Winnipeg back in October. So it's just been a couple pulls. And I like Sharks last coming in that said, NBC Bay Area News last night, we're talking about Billie Eilish coming to town, that it will be all vegan and vegetarian offerings at the food stands. And the visuals they showed of SAP while they're talking about this was from the 2019 All-Star Weekend. Because we haven't been able to get down to San Jose and get more B-roll, despite the fact that NBC Bay Area and SAP, I think, are about 3 miles from each other. But whatever. Oh, this is going to be a fun thing to rail on for the rest of it. Anyway, so you feel bad for Vanecek, but it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you let in 5 goals on 12 shots. On Black Friday, it was 4 goals on 12 shots. I mean, crazy turnovers, fluky bounces, screenshots. The Sharks looked like shit in front of them.
Sure.
But by then, Blackwood starts the second. It's fait accompli. Like I said, I would have yanked him after the first 3 goals or after giving up 3 goals in 90 seconds, but that's just me. I don't know. I want to say it was Jason Demers. Maybe it was Remenda. It was somebody on the broadcast team that, or maybe it wasn't. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it was NHL radio. But I remember saying somebody saying every team wins these types of games. Every team loses these types of games. They happen. You have a laugh with it and you move on. The Sharks just put 8 on Seattle. They just put 7 on LA. These games happen. So you have a good time and you sit there and go, hey, Braden Point, 4 assists. Good for you. And, but NBC is back, people, in the post game. What do we got for you? Oh, the NBCSN graphics guys screwing the pooch once again. Too busy to put in the name Mario Ferraro or any stats of any kind. We're just going to throw the lower third up. We don't give a shit. I think that's the 4th documented time, at least the 4th time I've screen capped that happening.
I mean, Brent Burns is obviously back on the Sharks. That's exciting.
Yeah, right. 88. Hello.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's weird how this continues to happen. Now, again, usually I don't get I am not blessed with the Sharks feed on my Sportsnet package, unfortunately, most of the time, or maybe for the better most of the time. I don't know anymore. I don't know how this keeps happening. Like, this is it's amateur hour.
It is. It's fucking amateurs.
I like, it makes me wonder if they're just like trying to like make the Sharks be like, okay, we're done with you.
Yeah, like it's like, are you trying to like drive the ratings lower? Anyway.
Oh, no one's watching this. We gotta cut bait here, and I don't know what the fucking Sharks would do at that point. But
yeah, well, let's have the janitor run the graphics from now on when he has time. Oh man! All right, so an 8-1 loss. It's sucks ass, but we move on. We go down to Florida. Blackwood back as a starter this time. Will Smith, did they even say what it was?
Upper body injury.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. And then Thrunford goes back up. Thompson's back out. And, Giovanni Smith didn't play at all this week. And, he's probably not going to play ever again for the Sharks. And we'll get to that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So this was not the response you were hoping for after the Tampa Bay blowout. It starts with a flub behind the net from Blackwood, and 23 seconds in, Tkachuk has basically the only goal that they really needed. It was just the Sharks playing a lot of hope hockey while the Panthers displayed while they're the defending champs. And somehow the Sharks cannot score a single power play goal despite 6 chances. Just a penalty-filled affair with tentative hockey. Warsofsky in the postgame did lament the power play, but doesn't appear to have any answer aside from "we need to be better." Man.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, and this is what I kind of we were talking about this week on our last show and looking ahead to this week. We said the games were going to get harder.
Oh yeah.
Like the previous week, like, there's no free wins in the NHL. Like you always have to play to win. But like the caliber of teams they played last week compared to this week. Like we knew it wasn't, things were going to get harder, especially when you rolled into Tampa. Because like Tampa's on probably the wrong side of the window. I think we'd all probably agree on that, but they're still a good team. Like this is still a team that's probably going to be in the playoffs this year.
Well,
The Panthers,
you're facing 3 teams that are responsible for 4 cup wins in the last, 8 years?
Yeah.
7 years?
yeah, and then you go to Florida. They're the defending champs. I think they've had some issues this year. I think it's hard, again, I think when you look at teams that play a lot of hockey 2 years in a row, like the Panthers did, being in the Cup final 2 years in a row, that starts to wear you down a little bit, and it's hard to get up in the middle of the season. So I think Florida's had a little bit of a tricky time this year. I don't think their goaltending's been overly fantastic this year, but when the Sharks rolled into town, I mean, they looked like they were, kind of probably the Sharks are probably what the doctor ordered for them a little bit. And then you get off to a nice start like they did with the nice goal by Kachuk. I mean, a little bit fluky, but still nice. And you kind of just get rolling, and the Sharks are going to have a hard time stopping teams like the Florida Panthers once they start rolling downhill, because all you're going to do if you're the Sharks, is get crushed.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And it's so weird because 22 goals scored by the Sharks in 4 games last week, and then all of 4 goals scored in 3 games this week. And the Sharks this close. I mean, 90 seconds away from being shut out for just the second time this season.
Yeah.
But Granlund spots Toffoli at the net, banks it in, and then Blackwood has 50 saves, most in Sharks regulation since Shields in 99.
That's crazy.
Dude, thank you, Jonathan Becker, for that little tidbit of info. I couldn't believe that. And then, again, back to NBCS and the postgame shows, says the power play this week actually has a -1 goal differential. And I went and looked at the stats, and I go, no, it doesn't. What are you talking about? And then I don't know how many
shorties, yeah.
Dude, I don't know how many times we've seen a player or Wasowski get cut off while giving post-game commentary, because obviously they got to get to whatever's next in their timing. I mean,
yeah.
Do the ratings
dog show? Yeah,
the ratings are really spiking because we need to get to dog racing or like highlights from the Paris Olympics last summer. I don't know. But my play of the week, I think my play of the week has to go to which I've never done before. This is new. Dowd getting a game misconduct at the end of the Washington game for whining to the Zebras. Like he went full Vlasic, and he got the
full Vlasic.
Yeah. So what had happened this week. Earlier today, Giovanni Smith gets waived. So This could be an indicator of several things. Does this mean Goodrow is ready to come off IR?
It's 100% what it means. I think so. This is what it means. I think it means that Goodrow's coming back, and they've really liked what they've seen from Ethan Cardwell. And Giovanni Smith's a guy who's, I don't know how many games has he played. I don't have it in front of me, but not very many games, right? Like, and we knew that Giovanni Smith was going to be a guy that wasn't going to draw into the lineup a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if anyone's upset about Giovanni Smith, I mean, you can call up Scott Sabrin, I guess, if if he gets claimed on waivers, like he's
fine.
Yeah, like I don't want to like disrespect Giovanni Smith here, but like he is a dime a dozen player. Like you can find plenty of guys that can come in and do what he does.
The Sharks already have Clean Costin.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're really jonesing for to drop the skill level a little bit, you can call up Scott Sabrin, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're right. So, I mean, it was like, okay, so does that mean is Goody ready to come back, or does it mean Vlasic is ready to come back? But it did beg the question, why not send down Thompson or Cardwell to make room?
I think they really like what they've seen from Cardwell, and I agree with them.
And I really like Thompson.
Yeah, I like Thompson too. I think he's going to be the guy who's probably going to get shafted by Vlasic coming back.
Yeah.
The thing is,
only guy who's waiver exempt, right?
Well, yeah, him and Thrun, right? But Thrun draws into the lineup more regularly than Thompson does, so logic dictates you send Thompson down, which is fine because I think Thompson, while he's playing sporadic games with the Sharks, gonna play big minutes with the Barracuda. So Thompson going down, like, yeah, it sucks because Vlasic's gonna come back and hopefully can look somewhat of a Vlasic of old, but I'm not holding my breath on that.
There's a weird conspiracy that it was just like they were tired of having two Smiths. Somebody had to go.
Someone had to go. Yeah, it was confusing. And
Well-
then so like with Vlasic coming back, with Thompson going down, like that wouldn't make news because he doesn't have to clear waivers, right? So it wouldn't be a big thing. Like we wouldn't hear it unless the Sharks, they're like, oh, by the way. Whereas like with Giovanni Smith obviously going on waivers, that gets reported on by all the big reporters every time the waiver list comes out. So
Well, we'll find out tomorrow about the waivers. I can't imagine anybody is claiming him despite his very low payday because, as Ian just said, there's a ton of
everyone
these
has a
guys.
bajillion of those guys are laying around somewhere.
Yeah. So, and likely we're not going to know anything about Goody, Vlasic, or Will Smith until Tuesday because Warsofsky loves holding up that teal curtain.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, yeah.
Don't say anything if you don't gotta.
Yeah, it's it, man. I mean, the playoffs could start tomorrow, and the Sharks would not be in it, but Warsofsky thinks they are. So,
oh, you know what though? Like a Taiga saying, "Call me insane. I'd rather have Vlasic than Cece." I don't know that that's that insane. I really don't. It's at the very least, Vlasic is very rested.
yeah, I mean, man, it's so sad. Like, remember when Vlasic was good?
Oh, dude, he was. I mean, there was so many people talking about like him being the guy that should get a ton of Norris votes, but won't because
Yeah, because he doesn't put up the points.
yeah, but it's like look at the top players when
Mhm.
he's on the ice. What points have they put up? None.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, Jacob Slavin's kind of in the same boat in Carolina. He's a very similar player. Yeah, I mean,
but when he was playing, when Vlasic was at the top of his game, the other point being is that the Sharks were getting him for a fucking song.
yeah.
I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, I just like I don't know. It sucks that Vlasic is like aged the way he has, because I think again, like I always say this, and it surprises me how his games regress, because his game should have been fine. Like you look at the two, right? When the deals were signed, the big deals, it was like him and Burns, right? And you're like, well, oh, Vlasic, it's fine. That deal's going to age perfectly. And Burns, because of the way he plays, like, can he keep it up for, and I had it completely backwards because I thought Vlasic, stick first defenseman was, healthy for the most part. I mean, this is the longest I think Vlasic's ever been out. No real injury history before this. And Brent Burns a little more reckless, a little more crash bang, like that usually wears the body down, right? But no, man, it's crazy how it went the other way.
He's an animal. Yeah, I don't. That's been kind of the bummer part of seeing like the core of the heyday of the Sharks, going out like a fart in an elevator. You see the way Vlasic his career's ending. You see the way Couture, I've said it before, I'll say it right now. I think we've seen Couture play his last NHL game. So you
God,
see,
I hope not, but yeah.
yeah. And so you see the way those two guys went out, and it's like, oh shit, and then you saw Thornton and Marlowe and obviously Burns go and take chances elsewhere because they can see the writing on the wall. It's just, man, if you're Vlasic or Couture, you have to be like, oh, these last 5 years, why didn't I leave? Oh, all right. Celebrini. There's a good name to talk about. Macklin Celebrini got a shit ton of pub at the start of the week because not only was Chief named what was it, like NHL Rookie of the Month?
Yeah, I believe
or something,
like
and then like Star of the Week, both at the same time. And when informed, told Shang, "Holy fuck, I didn't know that." And to all the people that created graphics and mentioned and credited Shang in those graphics, stick tap to you. That's the right thing to do. And a big middle finger to the people that didn't do it. There was somebody on NHL.com, Tim Galletti, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He did an entire article. Not once did he mention Shang. There was a couple other, wannabe clout chasing Twitter accounts that put it out like they got the information, didn't credit Shang. Those are the ones I'm going to continue to call you people out, because stop chasing clout. Get the fucking, the quote yourself, or at least credit the person who did. Even when they talked about it on NHL Network, they credited Shang. No, NHL Radio, I should be specific. Anyway, then Sean McIndoe.
Okay.
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. And
yes, sounds right.
I was going to say, and to be honest, I don't really care. Also known as Down Goes Brown from The Athletic. If you've ever listened to the Pucknologists for any amount of time, I don't like clickbait bullshit. I understand it. I don't like it. And McIndoe has seemed to have done an incredible job at building a career off of articles with BuzzFeed-like titles. Tons of 10 times we got it right. 5 trades you still can't believe happened. You'll never believe number 3. And this week he did an article ranking 12 bad teams, basically the 21 through 32.
Okay.
And it was some sort of hopelessness index that didn't make a lot of sense, to be honest, but Chief wrote one thing that had me like, okay, I might not ever read this fucking fool again, because he is not paying attention. And what had said was, let's see here. He wrote, Mike Grier is still relatively new to the job. Okay, sure,
Fair.
almost 3 years. That's fair. And while he hasn't pulled off any miracles, he's been a steady hand at the wheel. And I went, hasn't pulled off any miracles? All right, let's talk about that for a sec. So let's take a look here. I mean, starting with the Brent Burns trade, Burns and Peterson, and the Sharks get back Lorentz, Makaniemi, a conditional 2023 third. Now, you look at that and you go, okay, Grier did not get a lot of value there, but this was a thing of doing right by a player who clearly wanted to be out of this situation.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd push back on that though. I think
you don't think Burns wanted to split the dude?
Oh, I think Burns wanted to split, but I don't. I think I would push back like that. Oh well, the return's a return because they knew Burns wanted. Like I still think you could have gotten more for him. Like I don't think it was a good trade. Yeah, he did right by the player, but he didn't do right by the team, and that's his job.
Sure. So, excuse me. So the Down Goes Brown. The whole miracle thing just had me going. Plus, Sage of 6 on Reddit put together, a list of all the trades. And I was like, But the thing that popped out to me, I'm like, Grier was able to move out EK65 and only eat 1.5 mil. Plus, he got back Granlund, who's been spectacular for the Sharks.
He has been, but I don't think people expected that at the time.
Nobody expected that, because if that was the case, he would have been somewhere else.
Correct. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like you can look at the way things have turned out, but at the time where everyone's just like, oh yeah, well, Granlund's coming because Granlund and Jan Ruda are coming because they have to make the cap work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But you get Ruda and then Hoffman, who, I mean, both helped this team bottom out last season, which got you Celebrini. So hello. And then Grier used the first round pick the Penguins gave up in the trade to move up in the 2024 draft, which netted them Sam Dickinson, who's fucking killing it right now.
Yep.
And then meanwhile, Erik Karlsson's been really mediocre for the Penguins so far. They missed the playoffs last season, look destined to miss it again. Those feel pretty good to me. So, and Kevin Lacey's saying, the Burns trade, it was a must. Absolutely.
It was a must. Like, don't get me wrong, they had to do it, but I push back on the idea that oh, well, Mike Grier has done all good things if you just hand wave this away, right? Like,
Yeah, well,
to me, like, it's they had to do it. I think you could have done better. I mean, if you look back at if you look at some of the return for other players, is like Mike Grier has obviously gotten more experience in the position. He's done significantly better. I think this was his first big trade that he made. And it's underwhelming, man. Like you can hand wave it away by saying, oh, well, you had to do right by the player and blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't make it good. It's still bad.
we have just a hot second of breaking news here.
Okay.
Evidently, Sportsnet reporting. Well, I don't want to say reporting, but Sportsnet put out a quote from Tortorella. One thing I teach my team to do is not dive. Maybe I should start teaching them that. Says Tortorella didn't hold back in his post-game presser about calls in the Flyers-Bruins game. Now, I'm a Torts fan when it comes to his interactions post-game because they're fucking great. But Randy Hahn retweeting this saying Torts is 100% correct. Not just that game or that team. Diving has become endemic. Fuck, dude. It's not often you hear Randy, get that honest, right? I'm like, God damn,
Yeah.
Good for you. Looking at these other Grier moves, it's like Aiden Hill for a 2024 fourth rounder. Look, that was something that I think we can all look at in hindsight and go, well, Hill played really bad for the Sharks.
Hill was really bad for the Sharks. Like,
yeah,
I cannot stress how fucking bad Aiden Hill was in a fucking
getting a
jersey.
fourth. I think actually, like, some people were kind of like, oh, that's better than I thought he would have done.
And I know people are tilted because he went on and won a cup with Vegas. Because not only did he win a cup, but he won a cup in fucking Vegas of all places. I understand why Sharks fans are tilted about that.
But none of this revision is history. Aiden Hill was horrible in San Jose.
Fucking ass in San Jose, complete ass. And if you think otherwise, I don't know what games you were watching.
Weatherby for Chris Cuolo. It's like, yeah, wash.
That was
whatever.
good. That was a solid move for the Barracuda, man. It wasn't a great, it wasn't a earth shattering move for the franchise as a whole, but for the Barracuda, I thought it was a solid move for the Barracuda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though it was probably a little too late for that point in the season where the Barracuda were at.
Yeah. Then we remember Nieto and Ryan Merkley for McDonald and Kaut, and that was essentially, for those who don't quite remember, Merkley for Kaut was basically problem for problem.
All right, now I got to bring up some numbers now. Let's go. I'm fighting in the chat. That's it. I've had enough.
Okay, everybody calm down. But that, again, you look at all of the four players that were involved in that, you just kind of go, okay, it was nobody, you can't sit there and go, that meme of the guy at the bottom of the podium, biting the metal and popping the bottles, but nobody won or lost that trade. Those were just moving pieces, not a big deal. Magna for a 2023 fourth rounder. I got no problem with that. If, in fact, the 2023 conditional fourth rounder, didn't that end up being pretty good? Oh, yes, it got the team Luca Cagnoni. I'm pretty fucking happy with that.
Yes.
Although
I hate when, as an aside, I hate when people are when people treat the player that the team took there as oh, well, this trade was that for Cagnoni. It's but if they kept the pick, do they pick Cagnoni? Who knows, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
But yeah,
it's a little pedantic thing that I loathe.
I completely agree with you. But they in hindsight, because they could have picked another Ryan Merkley and it would have been horrible, right? So, but either way,
Mike Grier's done very little of that, thankfully.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I'm pointing at. Then we move on to the Meyer deal. I mean, look, I don't know how you say that Grier didn't win, and I'm not saying that Down Goes Brown said that Grier lost this trade, but
No.
You look at this in hindsight, and of course, everybody in the moment, in the 24 hours from the deal, it's always whoever gets the best player has won the trade. So everybody said the Devils won that deal, but I looked at all the stuff.
He did have a 906. Yes, Aiden Hill had a 906. He's still ass, man. I don't care.
Let it go, man.
It wasn't good.
But Scott Harrington, not a big deal. Santeri Hataka, I know that Hataka just hasn't really done anything, but Jerk and I were like big fans of his for a
Mhm.
while. Abragamov, nothing. Iman, nothing.
Yeah, these two guys were playing in the ECHL. They were expiring contracts. It was because when it was to make basically they were just contracts going the other way to make so that way both teams could stay under the cap limit
Yeah.
for cap for contract limit rather. So I mean those guys were on expiring deals. They were playing in the ECHL. They were gone anyway.
So
It was just
So what do the Sharks get back? Well, they get Zetterlund, and I think it was last week we showed that Zetterlund and Meyer like have the same amount of points. Now, that's not going to be, the way that it is for the rest of time, but it's just kind of funny that that's worked out that way. But Zetterlund has been a piece that has fit in with San Jose remarkably well.
Yeah.
Andreas Johnson, the ancillary piece, right up there with Timur Brigamov. But Mukama Doolin, well, I mean, that's been a pretty solid piece so far. He's going to marinate a little bit, but that could be a piece that could be significant down the road. Dude did have 2 helpers earlier today.
Yeah, he's starting to come on now. I think like he got off to a pretty slow start this season. And I talked about that at length, I think, but he is starting to look like himself again, which is nice. I still I like the player. I just think that he got off to a slow start, and I think it was a little bit concerning.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I'd be right there with you. The next player, Okhotiuk. Now, he was the guy, I know last week I fucked up and said Chichek. I meant Okhotiuk, the guy.
Yeah. He went to Calgary, yeah.
Yeah, so lost that piece, whatever. But then the 2023 first
Yeah,
rounder.
but he wasn't good.
Yeah, he wasn't. But there was hope.
He was big.
There was hope for about a week and a half, and then the 2023 first rounder, that ends up being Will Smith, yes?
No, that's Quentin Musty, I think.
Quentin Musty, my bad. Okay, so yeah, ends up being Quentin Musty. So either way, though, Meyer for Mukama Doolin, Zetterlund, and Quentin Musty, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, the 2024 conditional first, what did the Sharks get for that? Or was it moved as, in a piece?
I think that
was that the Dickinson?
I think we traded that in the Dickinson thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So, I mean, if you look at it, it's like these pieces were used to acquire Dickinson, Musty, Mukama Doolin, and Zetterlund, and all you had to give up was Timo Meyer. I'm real fucking good with that. I'm real good with that.
Yeah, no, I think I think that he's Mike Grier has done definitely way more good than bad, right? I just push back on the idea it's all hits and no misses.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But and that's the funny thing is that the guy in Reddit, Sage of Six, he did, if I read it correctly, I might not have, but if I read it correctly, he kind of painted it as Grier has done no wrong, whereas Down Goes Brown kind of painted it as, will Grier get there eventually? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So
I think, and here's the thing, right? Because I think you look at things right now and things look good, right? But I think some of these, I like Quentin Musty. I think Quentin Musty is going to be a player. I like Sam Dickinson. I think Sam Dickinson's going to be a player. But I
think Sam Dickinson's going to be the number 1 defenseman for the San Jose Sharks,
hope so.
Starting in about 3 seasons, and he will stay that way for the next decade.
Sure, and that's what we all hope. But because you know what I mean. But it's still you don't count a player as oh, this is a sure thing when they're still playing junior hockey.
Of course. Injuries happen and blah, blah, blah. But the future is way, way bright.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's why I mean, for me, I look at them and I think again, I still think the Sharks are doing a lot of the right things. I've liked a lot of the moves that Mike Grier has made. Again, are they all hits? No, but show me a GM that hits 1,000.
Exactly.
Right?
And for me, again, this is something that I've lamented before, whether it was talking about Tim Burke and the draft and whatnot. It was nobody expects anybody to go 1,000, but it's the big thing is can you have more hits than misses? That's the whole thing. If you can just do 51%, you're doing good. So
yeah, and you look at the drafting under Mike Grier so far. I think that's been really solid. A lot of people were kind of sour about Philip Beestead being drafted where he was, and I think so far, like, I love Philip Beestead. He's my favorite player on the Barracuda.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Sharks, that was the draft that the Sharks like traded a pick and moved down to like
Correct.
and got like
Yeah,
picked up
I think
three different
probably
spots.
who they wanted probably was off the board, so they moved down, which, you know, it was annoying at the time because you're like, wait a second, this team is dog shit, and now we're trading back in the draft. Like,
But it's
what are we
all
doing?
part of the plan.
But man, I love Philip Beestead. Like, Philip Beestead's my favorite player on the Barracuda. And I think he's gonna be like, I don't think he's, again, it's people see first round pick and then they're like, oh, you project him as like your third line center. Like, that's not a good first round pick. But I think when you look at how players kind of like the quality, so like, again, people might be like, oh, well, he's going to be a third line center. That was a first round pick. How does that work? But at the end of the day, it's the games played, right? Like,
Well, and that was the trade, where they moved down. Jules pointing out they got Beestead, Lund, and Haviland.
Mhm.
The funny thing is that okay, they get Beestead, who we're all, for what we expect, we're happy with the return. And then Lund is a guy that we're going to be talking about later in the show.
Mhm.
That it's just that since Grier has taken over, the drafts were kind of like, this is somebody who's doing something that this is a little above expectations, perhaps, or whatnot, where it just seemed like there was that stretch with, DW Jr., where it's like, okay, he swung for the fences on Ryan Merkley. That didn't pan out. Weisblatt didn't pan out. And at the time, we were kind of excited for those picks. So, we'll see how it all shakes out.
because like, again, there's been times where like,
I got five more slides that we got to get through this, man.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, there's a whole graveyard of Sharks picks that I was juiced about at one point or another. So,
oh, Dylan Sadowy, baby.
Oh man, I thought he was going to be Ryan Clough.
So I mean, giving up a third for Henry Thrun, no problems with that.
Nope.
AC Mont for Nemestikov. Now I understand, Nemestikov turned into a 4th round pick, fine, whatever. But
and AC Mont wasn't going to stay.
He wasn't, but god damn if he wasn't a good player that I liked having around.
Sure. I like Mike Easemont too, but like the thing that people have to remember there was that he wasn't going to play enough games, which means he was going to be an unrestricted free agent. It wasn't like the Sharks just gave him away and like gave him his restricted rights to Tampa. Like they moved him to Tampa to try and to improve their lot in life, and then obviously Tampa Bay is pretty fucking nice, right? Like they're a team that won a few cups and think worse places to live, and he's decided to stick around. Would he have stuck around in San Jose? Maybe, but that was a big risk. I think getting something for him was probably pretty shrewd on Mike Grier's part.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sundin Henriksen, don't care. Bonino for a condition of don't care. That's again, price of doing business. Just like Peterson and Scott Reedy, price of doing business. Nemestikov.
Yeah, Scott Peterson was a guy who I thought who I liked when he first came, and then kind of just fell off a cliff, unfortunately.
Yeah. Tyga saying Sheng wrote a piece that the Sharks shouldn't have traded Mikey. Well, maybe Sheng.
Sheng has the right to his opinion. I have mine. He has his opinion. If you want Sheng's opinion, go read Sheng.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very diplomatic way to put that. I like
that. Well, it's fine, right?
You do remember, I just want to point out 40 minutes ago, Ian told all of you that he's never wrong.
That's true. And then I proceeded to tell you how wrong I was about 100 different things that week as the show has progressed.
Right. A 6th round pick for Mackenzie Blackwood. I mean, dude, that so far has proven to be
fire. It's absolute fucking fire.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Agazino, moving him to the Ducks, whatever.
He wanted out.
Yeah, and again,
I don't want to be like, oh, well, so did Burns, and again, this is a minor league, it's a minor league deal, obviously, but it was a situation where Agazino wasn't going to get you much, so it's fine. It's not Brent Burns, who is like a Norris winning, minute munching NHL defenseman,
right? So yeah, and then there's a little cap strip. Again, I'm not going to get over we're not going to dwell on some of these trades that are
I will stop.
That were picks, because who gives a fuck?
Right.
It's basically, jockeying for position in the draft that it happens, whatever.
Yeah.
Lawrence in a 5th rounder to the Panthers for the Sharks to get Anthony Duclair. And then later
Good move.
I thought that was a fine move because what happened later, Duclair and a 7th rounder was moved to get a 3rd round pick in Jack Thompson.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with that.
I mean, Anthony Duclair was really good on the Sharks, and then I think that getting Jack Thompson in the 3rd was a nice return for him at the end. It's all said and done, like win-win.
Exactly. Everybody's happy with that. Then of course we already talked about it, so I don't want to fucking relitigate it, but the Erik Karlsson deal again, I look at that with Dylan Hamaliak. I'm probably mispronounced that. In a 3rd rounder, but what did the Sharks get? It's Granlund in a 1st rounder and guaranteed the finishing last in the it all worked out for the Sharks.
Yep.
And not so much for the Penguins. So fuck those guys. Sharks get Kalen Addison for Adam Raska. Again, like, who gives a fuck?
So like that was, but I admired, again, not all hits, right? But
And
I admired
liked Adam
what they were.
Raska.
So did I, but they had Adam Raska in spades on the Barracuda
Yes.
at the time. So Kalen Addison, it was like, I mean, I'm glad that they fired Kalen Addison into the sun, but it was a good swing for a guy when they were having trouble at that point in time. They were having trouble with offense from their blue line because, as we mentioned, Erik Karlsson was no longer there. And they tried to address it with Kalen Addison, gave him a shot to do something on this team. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but I admired the swing because he saw a need. He tried to address it without spending significant assets. Again, Adam Raska, they already had Ozzy Weisblatt at the time. They had other players that could kind of, fit in that role, and then a 5th round pick. So it was a good swing. Did it work out? No. But I could at least see what the train of thought was.
Yeah. All right. Now, the one that would perplexed me, Cicek in a 6th for Studnicka. What are we doing?
Again, but it was a need they were trying to fill on the team. Studnicka was a guy that, they're looking for a guy to come in and try and fill a role. And Nick Cicek Nick Cicek's a guy I'm never going to understand this fan base's fascination with. Like, I will never understand.
I'm with you.
I won't understand it. Like, I just won't. And I refuse to. So don't even bother commenting. Don't even bother in the chat. I don't care. I'm never going to see it.
All right. Now it's time to get to a quick fun run. Here we go.
Yes.
Dude, the Sharks getting a 7th and Vanecek for Kakinen. And who's Kakinen playing for now?
Nobody. Where's Capo Kakinen?
Exactly. Like,
I forget.
Didn't he end up with Colorado and then got waived?
Yeah, he's in the AHL somewhere. I'm assuming.
Okay.
I just don't know where.
So, like, how do you?
Yeah. So Jules is bringing up, when they brought in Studnicka, all our centers were injured, so they tried to bring him in to see again. They were trying to fill a role.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But yeah, dude, Vanecek and a 7th rounder for Kakinen. Like, I look at that and I'm like, oh, yeah, chef's kiss. Love it. The Hurdle trade.
Yeah, that's not a hit.
Well, I mean,
that is another trade you'll never get me to accept as good. I'm not hearing it.
But that's one of those ones where in the moment you go, oh, this is a kick in the balls. But two things. First off, let's put some context on this. In the moment, like, Hurdle, look, we don't know what's behind closed doors. I think it's pretty fucking evident. Hurdle saw what was happening and went, oh fuck, I want to try to win. This is not the place that is looking to win in the next 4 years.
Sure.
So new daddy needs to get the fuck out of here. The other thing I think needs to be a little bit of that context sprinkled here is the fact that Hurdle's extension was not a Grier thing. That was a Joe Will thing, Doug Wilson
100%,
thing.
and complete malpractice by the organization to let Joe Will sign that deal. 100%. However, you traded the best player, you retained salary, and then you had to give them cap hits give them draft picks for the privilege of doing so. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't care. Terrible fucking trade. I understand that Edstrom ended up going and, was a part of the Askarov deal, but they could have sent anybody for Askarov. Like, it's not like if David Edstrom doesn't become a San Jose Shark, they can't make the Askarov deal. I'm not hearing it. This is the worst fucking trade and that's, I mean, again, between this and Burns, these are the worst. These are the blemishes on Mike Grier's record.
No,
so far.
this one I will die on the hill that this is Grier's worst move.
I mean, yeah, it hurt because it was Hurdle, right?
Yeah, that too. But you know what can salvage the whole thing? It obviously is, Askarov becoming, the fucking Cam Ward, Patrick Waugh, Marty Brodeur of the Sharks over the course of the next 12 years. The other thing that could also salvage this trade, of course, because hindsight is everything.
I think if Hurdle murders a school bus full of children,
dude, don't say that in Vegas, bro. That's not the right thing to say.
I at that point I'll be okay with this trade.
Did the Sharks still own that 2025 first that they got?
I have no idea.
That's anybody in the chat. Can you let me know? Because because that's the one thing that is so difficult to track. It's like,
this trade.
This move or this pick was moved for this, and then this pick is moved for that. So I look at that and I'm like, fuck, do the Sharks even still have that first round?
So Sleepy in the chat says history will determine if this becomes the worst trade.
He's right.
This trade fucking hurt me.
Oh,
this trade hurt me. Okay, there's nothing. I don't care. The Sharks could win 17 Stanley Cups, and I'll still be mad at this fucking trade.
Oh man. Oh shit. Hold on. Is Jules trying to tell me that the Sharks not only dealt Edstrom, but they also dealt that 2025 first round pick?
That sounds right.
To get Askey? Oh, fuck. All right. That's a kick in the balls. Well, Askey, no pressure, kid. Anyway.
I mean, he has all the pressure in the world because everyone's expecting him to be like this franchise fucking goalie, like the next Igor Shesterkin. But yeah, no pressure guy.
Yeah. Oh, dude. All right.
That's my fast drive. Okay. But I don't care, man. Like, again, they could win 17 Stanley Cups and I'll still be mad at this trade because it hurt me.
Ugh. All right. Going to the Sabres, a 7th round pick. Going to the Sharks, Devin Cooley. Yeah, big deal. Don't care. Okhotiuk, Sharks get a 5th. Fine. Whatever. Here's one that I really like. Klim Kostin to the Sharks for Radim Šimek.
Yeah, this was a good move, right? Like, Klim Kostin had a really good, when he first came over. I think he's starting to find his game now. But again, Radim Šimek was a guy who was stuck on the Barracuda. He was never going to get called up. Like he
the captain for a hot minute?
Probably because that's what happens when you're the Barracuda captain. You're fucking out of here.
You're right. Agazino, take that. What
up? No, but again, you turned, and again, maybe even if Klim Kostin doesn't become a part of this team going forward, I still think it was a nice swing for a guy who was going to be gone anyway.
I like it. And still, I'm gonna, I'm on fucking record. I'm a Klim Kostin fan, so I hope this works. Although I was also a Redeemer fan. Oh man, the Sharks getting Dellandrea for a 4th. I got no problems with that.
It's fine. Yeah,
trading lottery tickets for somewhat proven value. I never have a problem with those.
The only issue I have with the Ty Dellandrea move isn't Ty Dellandrea. It's just that the Sharks have a lot of Ty Dellandreas.
Yeah,
of course. There's a lot of that guy on this team.
Yeah. Well, the other thing though is I think he also, when I say he, meaning Ty Dellandrea, I also think he saw the writing on the wall and knew it wasn't going to get better in Dallas for him. So yeah. I think he looked at the Sharks and said, "There's more opportunity here for time on ice." So it works out. And then finally here. Dude, the all-time Grierist Grier move that could ever Grier, future considerations for Jake Wallman and a 2nd round pick. Are you fucking kidding me?
I want to know.
What the fuck are these considerations? Because this is if I'm Detroit, I'm going, what the fuck did we do? There was an article in The Athletic not too long ago where they were going, what does Detroit have to give to the Sharks and to get Wallman back?
Yeah, right. I don't know. Like, I have no idea what they were passing around the office when Steve Yzerman was like, "Hey, Mike Grier, would you like Jake Wallman?" You know what? On second thought,
No.
let
Wallman isn't enough. Let me
yeah,
give you a
let
second
me give you a
rounder.
second round pick to take him.
Are you
Like,
fucking... Dude, were they like bringing in water from Flint, Michigan that day? Oh, like, God
we're the
damn.
worst people.
We're going to hell. Kyle Burrows for Carl Grunstrom, don't care.
I mean, it was fine, right? Like, Carl Grunstrom, again, I think Grunstrom has been quietly really good defensively for the Sharks. Kyle Burrows was a situation where the Sharks had a lot of that guy. I know this is a fucking trend on this for this breakdown, but like the Sharks had a lot of that guy. So to move something that you had in abundance for Carl Grunstrom, I think was a nice tidy bit of business.
It always is. Then, you got some picks being moved around that
was
all
at the draft.
Yeah, exactly. They're all draft based bullshit. Don't care.
Well, that was the Dickinson trade, and then I don't remember what the other trade was, but
yeah. And then the Sharks trading Ty Emberson to get Cody Ceci in a 2025 third. I hope that fucking 2025 third pans out because Cody Ceci certainly hasn't in my eyes.
That's a weird, yeah, like this again to me is kind of a miss. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't super in love with Ty Emberson, but like, I don't know, man. Like, what a weird trade.
Ugh. Oh, Lacey bringing in a hot piece of information. Detroit cleared out Wallman's cap space because they thought they were
signing Stamkos. Yep, that tracks.
Yeah, they were in the fucking Stamkos.
Yep.
Poor bastards.
Poor bastards.
And then finally, it's the Predators getting David Enstrom, obviously from the Vegas hurdle thing, along with that pick, the 2025 first rounder, and then of course helping us ship out Magnus Krona, and the Sharks getting, I mean, arguably the most desired goaltending prospect in the entire league.
Yeah, I mean, he is I think he's probably number 2 or 3 for me on that list. But I mean, like, again, when you look at goalie prospects, like he's so good. I mean,
he's huge. And
yeah, like,
I mean, picked up his third shutout yesterday in the A. I mean, granted, not in the end, not the same, but if you can keep shutting out that league, you're probably going to do somewhat okay in the next league.
Yeah, and Magnus Krona, like I like Magnus Krona, but I don't, and he's done really well for the Admirals, but like I still don't think there's an NHL goalie there,
dude. And for a hot minute, remember like a couple weeks ago, Krona actually had better numbers than Askarov, and we were like, oh
sure.
Fuck.
Yeah, but it's again in the A, like, but again, it's like, but what's the ceiling, right? Because that's what always annoys me about those conversations. Like, oh, look what Devin Cooley's doing, and look at what, and Askarov's got lower numbers than all of them. It's like, yeah, but Askarov's going to be an NHL goalie, and the other two aren't.
Oh, work it out where Wallman goes to San Jose if they take Goody, and then Trouba was supposed to go to Detroit, who ended up nixing that trade, and then it freed up space for New York, who obviously were wanting to sign Shesterkin. So, Interesting. So anyway, the point of that whole, exercise was just the fact that down goes Brown saying Grier hasn't pulled off any miracles. I'm saying, Blackwood for a 6th, Hurdle for Askarov, Shimmick for Costin, Wallman for nothing, Magna for Cagnoni. Like, I'm not saying these are all miracles. And then again, getting some sort of value for Timo Meier and moving out some of these big contracts. I don't think McIndoe realizes the shit show that Doug Wilson left.
No.
So
yeah.
For Grier to have this team positioned where it is just a couple years after, to me, is a fucking miracle.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. Like, people, like, when teams are bad, I think if you're not paying attention, it's easy to be like, oh, well, they've been rebuilding all this time. What people don't realize is that until Mike Grier took over, the Sharks weren't rebuilding.
Yeah, nobody
Like,
would
yeah,
cop
they
to it. None
traded
of
a
that.
they traded a player here and they traded a player there to try and, if someone wanted them, they'd trade players. Like they weren't buying for sure. But like Mike Grier came in and was the one that did a lot of the heavy lifting to really start tearing this thing down to the bolts.
Well, and you look at Anaheim, you look at Detroit, you look at Ottawa, you look at Chicago.
Yeah.
I feel like these teams have been their rebuild started before the Sharks, and I feel like the Sharks are, they're about this close to leapfrogging them. So we'll see.
We shall see again.
Yeah. All right, let's get into heroes and zeros for the week. This is going to be so easy, at least for me. Mackenzie Blackwood, sir, put on the cape. You played in every fucking game this week. You part of the win in DC that went to overtime. You had to go in cold to replace Vanecek after a period. And then you threw up 50 saves in Florida over the last 3 games that you've started. Obviously not the Vanecek spotting, but the last 3 games that Blackwood has started, he's posted a 943, a 964, a 947. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. No,
Keep
that's
this goalie.
Yeah, please. Yeah, and that's my answer too. It's Mackenzie Blackwood this week. So I think other than I know the Capitals game counts, but it's hard to be super positive after the rest of the week went.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the answer is Mackenzie Blackwood, right? And yeah, that's the answer.
My zero for the week is the Sharks power play. I mean, Warsawski figured out 1 for 10 in the last 2 games this week. You had all of 2 power play goals, but let's sprinkle some context on both of the power play goals that the Sharks scored this week.
Okay. The
first one was during a 4-on-3 in overtime in DC when Eklund got the game winner. So it's not your typical 5-on-4 in regulation. It's 4-on-3 in overtime. Then they go 0 for 3 in Tampa. Then in Florida, they go 0 for 6, technically. Yeah. 0 for 6 against Florida. And then they finally, with, a minute and a half left, 2 minutes left, they pull Blackwood after getting a penalty and score. But it was 6-on-4. So neither of the 2 power play goals that the Sharks scored this week were true regulation 5-on-4 man advantage. Is what my point is. So, yeah, the Sharks power play. You're my zero for the week. Get it together, guys. Go ahead, Ian.
I mean, if it's 2 sides of the same coin, I'm gonna go to goaltending, and I can't wait till Vitek Vanecek is somewhere else and people come on the show 2 years later telling me how good he was on the Sharks.
Jesus Christ.
But I mean, he goes in, right? And not all of those goals were his part, but there was definitely there was some pretty sus goals there. And then I think you were at 3. I'm like, oh, that should be the end of his night. And then 4, okay, that should be the end of his night. And then 5, that should definitely be the end of the night. Mercifully, between periods, it was. I do wonder though if it's a situation where the intermission gives the other goalie time to warm up. I wonder if that's why Warsawski's doing it that way.
I myself thought that way too. There was also a part of me if if Vanecek just looked at him and looks over at Warsawski and goes, "Bro, what the fuck? Why am I still out there? What are you doing? I clearly don't have it tonight. What are you waiting for?"
Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for him, but
do you need me to feign injury?
I don't think he's been particularly good when called upon, unfortunately.
I would agree, sadly, but it makes you wonder by the time we hit 41 or by the time we hit the deadline, is it the Blackwood Askarov show, and you let these guys battle for the next 4 years or whatever. Either way, I'd be pretty happy with both of those cats. Something we haven't done in a while because there hasn't really been a need for it, but holy fuck, did the example came hot and heavy this week. Oh my God. Let me get a beverage here. Holy fuck. All right. For those of you who have watched this podcast with any regularity, you know I'm gonna go off just for a hot minute here. All right, so
I'm just gonna sit back.
yeah, just lay back, baby. Put you know what? I'll talk in the lower voice. Just close your eyes.
Close your eyes, lean back.
Yeah. Earlier this week, after the game versus DC, Washington, the Capitals, evidently, this chief here, Carlos Ramirez, who is part of the NBCSN, regional sports network. He's done, I believe he's part of the 49ers pre and post, which to me, I think is funny because all those games are nationally televised. I don't know who the hell's watching a local thing, but anyway, he's part of that. He's part of the Giants pre and post from time to time. There are some who have said that the only reason why he is employed is because he's bilingual. That wasn't me. I'm just saying it's something that I've heard. But this guy showed up with a fucking tweet this past Tuesday that I was like, are you kidding me? Saying, I just did a 47-minute live radio segment talking about the San Jose Sharks on KNBR, and it was amazing. You, the fans, made it spectacular. The phones were ringing nonstop. People care about this team. There's a fan base, interest, passion, and we just proved it. And the first thing that I thought about when this tweet was brought to my attention was, what do you mean we, white man? But, like, dude, we have been proving this for a decade. Like, both of the major sports stations, well, the only two sports stations in the Bay Area, them ignoring the Sharks for since their inception is literally why this podcast began. Why Teal Town. This used to be called Pucknology, 10 years ago. Ian had teal tinted glasses. There's, 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 other Sharks podcasts that exist right now. We've been filling this void for 10 fucking years. Chief does 40 minutes with Ted Ramey and wants praise. The fuck out of here. Like, unless your name is Tom Tolbert or Ted Ramey, you have banked no points. You have an empty cachet, KNBR. And I'm just saying, when you show up late to the party, you go to the back of the fucking line. And it should also be noted that this Carlos fool has 350,000 followers, and he gets less interactions on his account than Teal Town does. Okay? Like, this is where we're at with this. And let's see some of the other parts of this whole Twitter night. He goes, because some people responded, he goes, I've been hosting for 4 months. I'm assuming he means on KNBR. He goes, okay. And I'm giving you, quote, the fans, the space you want and deserve. I guess those fans didn't want it or deserve it for the previous 30 years, but go on. When I said we proved it, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to those who think that hockey on the radio is a turnoff. We just proved it's not. That was my point.
I mean, like,
hold on. The talking to those who think hockey on the radio is a turnoff. Is that a weird way to say your bosses?
Maybe.
Well, who else is going to say it?
Well, I mean,
if it draws numbers, it's fucking go.
I agree with what you're saying, 100%. Like, based on my understanding of how the Sharks get covered in the Bay Area. I mean, I don't live there. I can't speak to it, obviously, but I understand it, I think, pretty well. I still think, though, I mean, if you have it's good if this dude who's been there for 4 months has the stones to give like almost an hour to the Sharks where they normally wouldn't get an hour. Like, that's
well, dude,
that's nice. Like, kudos.
No,
I will give him kudos for having the stones to do it, and then basically saying like, yeah, the bosses don't think this is good.
Well,
but
having the stones to do it, that's fine. But don't come up in here and be like, dude, we all know the Sharks, hockey fans at large, very hugely, massively passionate bunch. Don't come on
Yes.
up here after one segment in fucking 30 years and be like, oh, we're here for you and blah blah blah, bitch, please. And I like Sleepy on here. It says like Carlos or dislike him, but props to him for talking about the Sharks after the game. Yeah. You really want props? Do it after every game.
Sure.
Okay. And then Sleepy also saying, I was holding my breath to see if KNBR fired him the next day.
How dare you?
Well, dude, they've been handing out pink slips left and right. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But
Well,
this
like,
is
again, if the guy's been there for 4 months, like obviously the
yeah,
radio
but he's
station
been in the
doesn't
Bay
post-
Area with the RSNs for the last couple of years.
Okay,
That should be noted. That's all I'm saying.
that's
Go.
fair. But I mean, like, no, I just think it's good. I mean, if he's only been there for 4 months, though, like obviously the radio station, if the radio station came out and gave themselves a big pat on, like, you know what I mean? Like if KNBR tweeted out, "Oh, we're the fucking best. We covered the Sharks. We're so good." Like then they could probably fuck off. I'll give this guy props for being there for 4 months and be like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about the Sharks for an hour.
Okay.
And fire me.
And you know what? And I think that's great. But here's my other point, which I think really like puts the nail in the coffin of the point is this was, like I said, last Tuesday.
Sure.
Since this evening, this guy hasn't posted a single fucking Sharks post since then.
Fair enough.
So I'm like,
the bosses said, yeah, don't do that.
But no, it's his own personal account. It's not
Yeah,
like
you
he's
know, I
running the
get what you're saying.
KNBR account.
No, I get what you're saying. Okay.
But it's like, suck my ass. Oh, I want all this, all the cookies tonight. Send me my flowers. And then it's like, no, I've seen this fucking game before. Again, this is why this podcast began.
100%. Like obviously,
But the best part, the best is Jonathan Becker posted, oh, Sharks fan not surprised about Sharks fans being jacked and pumped and everything. And Carlos responds here is, you have no idea how many times I've heard the quote, people don't want hockey talk on the radio comments, Jonathan. And we just proved that that's just now true. I think it's pretty obvious that he meant to say not true, but typos happen. Lord knows I've made a ton of my own. But he goes, this is just the beginning, and the fans know and support. So again, let's take this one at a time here. You have no many times, you have no many, oh, fuck, I can't talk anymore. You have no idea how many times I've heard the people don't want hockey talk on the radio comments. Okay, who are these people? Who's telling you this? Is it your bosses or
Probably.
what? Who the fuck are these people? Like, that's number one. We've just proved that's just not true. No, Ted Ramey and Tom Tolbert have been proving that's not true for a very long time. We, with this podcast, Dudes on Hockey, all the others, we have been proving that's not true. And then this is just the beginning. No, dude, you missed the beginning fucking 10 years ago. And the thing that I love is that Becker said, thanks, Carlos, I believe you, and yet there are dozens of podcasts. Yeah. Boom. Fucking boom. And here's the thing that really kind of like just lays on a little bit of the secret sauce in all of this, is that 95.7 had a host at one time, John Middlecoff. He legit asked Brody on Twitter. Brody posts, and this is, again, 10 years ago when we were starting this. Brody posts, special teams both ways look good tonight as they have in the long time. And the host of a sports talk radio show says they call penalty killing special teams. Same with when you're on a power play. And by the way, he misspelled your. But the fact that this guy didn't know that those were considered special teams, yet later, almost 2 hours later, somebody, and I'm sure, and it's one of the, it's Shark Fin Fan 32, must have torched him. And Middlecoff said, oh, I've forgotten more about sports than either of you booger evers will ever know, which, insanely professional response. Totally professional. But it's like
it's when you look at Twitter now, though, it's so fucking wild.
Dude, I'm telling you. So it's like, dude, he legit asked Brody if a power play and penalty kill are considered special teams after telling everybody he knew about sports. Dude, at one time, I shit you not, Chris, our buddy Chris, who helped us start this whole thing, he can fucking attest. He was there. Dude, there was a guy, OC. I don't know. I can't remember what it stands for, but for some reason I remember the initials OC was the host name. At one point, he's talking to Brody during a hit about the Sharks. And this is like 2015, towards the beginning of that season. And the dude literally tells Brody, quote, "From what I'm reading," and when I say quote, I'm reading this literally as the guy who said this. "From what I'm reading, Niemi is putting up Vezina type numbers." Not Vezina, Vezina type numbers. Because that's the way he
never put up Vezina numbers.
Well, that, yeah, come on. Like, that in itself was a lie. But the fact that he didn't know to, pronounce it Vezina versus Vezina. And to credit, to Brody's credit, he comes back and he goes, "Well, Niemi's, he's had his moments and blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Now, is he a favorite for the Vezina right now? I wouldn't put him there, but so he did the whole thing where he kind of corrects him without correcting him. He's like, by the way, I'm just going to pronounce this correctly, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to call you out. But anyway, it's just like, that's what I'm saying. And it's, again, you don't get credit for talking about the Sharks until you do it with two things: regularity and intelligence.
Say, right? Like, I think if like this guy wants to come out and say like, "Oh, look, we proved that there's talk on the radio." Okay, well then keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Oh, it's working so well for you. Okay, I look forward to the show tomorrow and the night after that, and so on and so forth.
Or at least like with some like maybe not like I don't think like the Sharks are going to get every night because they're just not that high on the picking order, right?
But do it after every Sharks game.
Yeah, or or once a week or something. Do it some regularity.
You could literally simulcast this show. Just saying. But I'm telling you, dude, these same people, these hosts, they know the third string 49ers tight end. They know how Buster Posey likes his eggs in the morning. They know the name of Steph Curry's orthopedist. I guarantee you none of them know the last time Logan Couture played a game or why he hasn't played a game since then. I bet they can't name all three goalies that the Sharks have employed this season or what Barclay Goodrow is best known for in the city of San Jose. And so, I'm going to echo what Becker said. He said, all are welcome, but hey, we're a passionate bunch. 47-minute segment on one random day means nothing after decades of nothing, right? So
like I said, I agree. Like, I'll give him props for doing it, but like at the same time, but like don't be like, well, you just prove this works and then never do it again. Because then did you prove anything? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So when the audience knows more than the hosts, I think that's like kind of a big sign. So, and it should also be noted too that like the ratings came out for local radio just before Thanksgiving. KNBR had like one of their worst finishes in history. So like, maybe, if you want to rearrange the deck chairs, sure, but like, don't put our fucking name on it. Let's get to what's going around the NHL. Just a couple of quick hits. I'm going to get your takes and then we move on. Blackhawks fire their coach. Of course, what else are you going to do? How many is that? Is it Montgomery in Boston? 3. Who was the other one? Who am I missing?
Drew Bannister in St. Louis, because that's who Montgomery played 22 games into his NHL coaching career, was fired for.
I was going to say
Montgomery.
Fucking Berube was it? All right, whatever.
And then on that quick, obviously like Chicago, I think you wanted to see, if you're Chicago, you probably want to see a little bit of forward progress, especially after getting Connor Bedard. I don't think they've done a great job of insulating Bedard with players. I think they tried to address that this summer. Connor Bedard's really struggled this year. So I think
So talk about the sophomore jinx. Oof.
Yeah. And like, again, I don't think like a lot of people are like, oh, people are saying this guy's generational, whatever. Like, I think it's just, it's not a great look, obviously, but I think like he's had 100 different line mates trying to get him going and nothing seems to work. And I think if your player is struggling like that, and I think Their coach was on the last year of his deal anyway, so that's generally the recipe for a disaster for a coach, is like having no term left on your deal, and then having a team struggle. Like I think Chicago has looked really bad. Like I think the Sharks have a better record than the Blackhawks this year, so that's probably not good.
Who do you think? It's okay. Like I have to have a little bit of fun with this. It's like worst record at the halfway point. 41 games in, worst record. Nashville or Chicago. You just sit there and go, the amount of talent on one team versus the other. You're like, holy fuck. Anyway,
Yeah.
I feel like Dylan Larkin proved that social media should end.
Fuck.
Dude, the amount of rumors that went around earlier today, especially involving Chris Johnston, it's just like,
Chris Johnston, I know, like
this poor son of a bitch.
I'm gonna start doing this. I think I've decided.
You're just gonna put random shit out in the
yeah,
ether
just
and
be like, yeah. So I was talking to Elliot Friedman yesterday, and he told me that.
So I was having a coffee with Pierre LeBrun yesterday.
Right?
And,
Yeah. As one does.
Of course. I was shoveling Don Cherry's sidewalk.
Yeah. As one does, and and he told me that the San Jose Sharks really don't like Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and
they think he's an asshole.
Yeah, and like it just, I didn't say it. It was Pierre LeBrun.
It was Pierre LeBrun. Yeah, that fucking guy.
Yeah,
Blame him.
Yeah,
I can't.
What surprised me though? I know you can hide your blue check mark on Twitter, but like generally, like this is why Twitter sucks now. I believe so.
I don't know that you can, because I think Elon wants that out there as a big blinking light of like,
because people got mocked for having blue check marks for a while.
Because I think that's why Elon wants it out there. It's like, no, you can't turn that shit off, because it's like, no, I want everybody to know that you're paying for my fucking service.
But like, this is the reason why Twitter sucks now, is that like I was surprised you didn't have blue check, because it's because this is a whole game now, right? You rage bait for engagement so you can get like 40 cents at the end of the month from Elon.
Oh, rage bait. I love that.
Right? No, it's true. And that's
like
the whole Twitter experience now, is like you just say stupid, ridiculous things, hoping that people will interact with the stupid, ridiculous things. Like this is why like the discourse is so fucking dumb.
Like Twitter. I said earlier with the whole BuzzFeed thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's that type of thing where I'm just like, fucking social media just needs to end. We're all stupider because of it.
We're way less productive, that's for sure.
So much so. Trouba got traded to Anaheim. I mean, again, that was another one on social media. Like, fuck, where is he going? Is he going here? Is he going there? And blah blah blah. And if anything, it just made me wonder, like, what the fuck is going on in New York? There were a lot of people that had New York as a Final Four this year.
They should be. This team's super underperforming. They should be really good. But I also think, again, when I talked.
But you're going to move your captain? What the fuck is going on there?
They wanted to move him in the summer, though. Right? Like, so this breakup has been messy. And
you don't pull a Doug Wilson, or did they? I don't know that much about New York. Was Trouba a captain at the start of the season, or did they name? Oh, okay, well,
no, he's been captain for a while. But they did want to try and move him in the summer, and he didn't want to go. And then, like,
you
obviously,
would have thought stripping the sea would have.
You would think, but
fostered that. Who gets it? Breadman?
I'm not even sure. I'd have to look at their roster. I don't even like. I don't know.
This is a team that I swear to God they'd give it to Shesterkin.
They should. It's not. You're not allowed, but they should. The thing with New York is that, like, they've obviously, I think this team's underperforming. I think, again, this is a team, I think, that's been in the conference finals 2 years in a row. They played a lot of hockey, and I think that does catch up to you. I think that the style of hockey they play is good because they have Igor Shesterkin. If they put anyone else in net behind the way they play, it would not be good, because I think they make Shesterkin work his ass off for his money. Give it to Zibanejad. Yeah, Zibanejad's a good one. I don't know, man. Like, New York, it's a team. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I'm an expert on the New York Rangers, because I'm certainly not. But I wonder if this is secretly owner meddling again.
Remember, this is a team that did decide to fire off a public note to the fans. Isn't this also the same team that Did they write a public note about the officiating in a game?
Well, not only that, but I mean, you could see like this is when they went out, like we talked a lot this summer, like when Barclay Goodrow came to the Sharks about like how the
Oh,
Rangers were starting to undo all the deals because like James Dolan kind of lost his like as he does. If you are a fan of the New York Knicks, then you are very familiar with James Dolan's meddling. He usually leaves the Rangers alone. But there was that one summer where it's like, oh, they're not tough enough to play, so they gave Barclay Goodrow like $4 million, and like they this summer it felt like they finally got out from under like the deals that they kind of signed to like get tougher and whatever, right? And I do wonder because like this is a situation where like not only is it Trouba's name that's been out there, it's Chris Kreider, which I don't understand why you'd want to trade Chris Kreider, but again, you know, that's a cautionary glance. I haven't watched the Rangers a ton. Maybe Chris Kreider's been asked this year. I don't know. But to me, like just hearing that name is kind of weird. So I do wonder if there's a little bit of owner meddling going on here because I think the expectations are high. And I think the Rangers, especially when you're, Shesterkin signs the extension, he's going to be the highest paid goalie ever next season.
dude,
And like
what a bag.
I love Igor Shesterkin, so I mean, like I get it,
Yeah.
but
Dude, that's a hefty bag.
that's a lot of money in goaltending.
Yeah, which is, it's just so weird because, you roll the clock back almost 15 years. And I remember it was like Nabby holding out for a bag. And it was, no, you don't, we don't.
Yeah, but now, like, let's not fucking confuse Evgeny Nabokov
I'm not,
with Igor
I'm
Shesterkin.
not, I'm not trying to do that. But my
Okay.
point being is that it seemed that, there was an era there for a little while where it's like, okay, guys that are, that have proven themselves worthy are going to get like huge sums of money in the net, but then it tailed off and it was kind of like, no, we're going to do the whole one.
Yeah,
I mean,
because-
remember that stretch with Dallas where it was like, we're not going to pay one guy 8 million. We're going to pay two guys 4.2 million.
Sure.
We're going to do the 1A, 1B thing. And how did that work out? Horribly for Dallas.
Yeah, Nabokov. Like the problem with Nabokov is he asked for money this summer after Antti Niemi and who was the goalie in fucking Philly that year? Fuck, I can't remember his name. But anyway, they were both like obviously not paid very high, right? And that was the thing. Oh, well, you can get to the Stanley Cup final with Antti Niemi and enter Philadelphia's goalie that I am missing. The chat will correct me, I'm sure.
But
and then everyone's like, oh, you don't have to pay goalies? Wait a minute. And
but
then
wait a minute though, because Doug Wilson went after Jarmelson first and forced their hand that said, okay, you either need to take care of Hammer.
Yeah, Nick Jarmelson. Yeah.
So
No, it wasn't
Brizgalov?
Brizgalov. It was not Niedermaki. It was started, I think, with Leighton. I don't remember.
The guy ended up in Dallas?
No. What the fuck's his name? It wasn't Brizgalov.
Either way, though, there was my point being is that it seemed to be like there's
Michael Leighton. That sounds right.
Michael Leighton. Okay, there you go. But it seemed to be that there were like 3 goalies that were going to get over 7 million, and then anybody else was like, no, fuck you. We're not going to give you 7.5 million or 8 million or whatever. We're going to find 2 guys that are serviceable. It was very Moneyball. It was like, we're going to replace this one guy's on base percentage and all of that in the aggregate. We're going to find 2 goalies that can do what you do for your price. And I don't know. It was just very fun to see how that worked out. Anyway, I'm dying to see how the hell things work out in New York. I'm hoping Mark will come on. I don't know how much Mark follows the Rangers, but I'm sure he gets a little bit of collateral damage from being there.
I don't super follow the Leafs, so if you ask me a question about the Leafs right now, I'd answer it because obviously that's the talk.
Yeah, well, but being based where he is, I'm like, he'll get hit with some collateral damage. So we'll have to have Mark on at the halfway point. I mean, obviously we want him on just to talk post game, but still, like, the fuck is going on with the Rangers? Anyway, Mark Stone, it was reported, returned from IR this week, which to me said Is it playoffs already? God, that went by fast.
Yeah, whole season's over. Playoff time.
Hmm.
I think
Like,
yeah, I mean, look at
who needed to be sent down in order for him to fucking get? Who
I
needed
don't
to
know.
be traded for him to be activated?
Yeah, again, like I don't know, Four Nations coming, but that's still a bit off, so that's like a month or two away. So I don't know. Look at it's his first trip to the IR. It won't be his last.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Wait. Okay. So the next time the Sharks play the Rangers, end of March.
Oh damn.
So we'll have them on then. Four Nations rosters were announced after manufactured blue ball buildup. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude, strippers don't take that long to fucking show you something. So now we will have the overreaction to the perceived snubs.
Yeah, that's
S-
the whole.
yeah, Sweden didn't name Eklund. Oh no. Anyway,
You know what though, like here, I'll say this quickly on William Macklin. I think that if these rosters are smaller than your usual international rosters, I think you expand this roster by a couple of people, and I think Eklund's on that team. But I think with I think it's like a 23-man roster. So I think it's a situation where I think a lot of people are going to err to the more veteran players, especially because it's like the first best on best, even though this is kind of a weird best on best situation. It's like 4 games and then a championship. Like it's gonna be fun. Like I'm really looking forward to it, but I think that if there was more time and more bodies allowed on the team, I think William Eklund's on Team Sweden.
so this whole thing is taking place, February 12th to the 20th.
Mhm.
I'm not sure when the Super Bowl is. I'm assuming it's a couple days before this.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine the NHL putting this up against Super Bowl.
No. I'm just, I mean, because that's the way it always seems to work out. That like the All-Star game always happens like, a week or so after Super Bowl. Don't want to get in the way of that. But my whole thing is, I'm looking at this, Four Nations and blah blah blah. I got to be honest with you, dude. I'm looking at that week, the 12th to the end. I'm like, it's going to be nice to not have to watch hockey for a week.
I think you'll be missing out. I think it's gonna be fun.
I mean, I want to watch a little bit of it just to see. Well, hold on. Let me ask you this.
I think Team USA is really good.
Okay, this is the one thing that this is so much. This is a perfect example of how much I haven't been paying attention. Are they playing 5-on-5, or is this going to be gimmicky like 3-on-3?
No, this is
like
5-on-5. It's going to be a round robin and then a game to decide, like based on the round robin results, the 2 best teams will play for whatever they're playing for.
All right. You might suck me in. At the very least, which Sharks are in it? Granlund and who?
That's it, I believe.
Fuck, I thought there were 2. Oh, was Blackwood one of the snubs?
So I mean, I guess Team Canada's goaltending is really sus. It's not good. I think there's that third spot could have been like, I think everyone knew it was going to be Aiden Hill and Jordan Bennington. And before you fuckers start up about Aiden Hill again, like it says more. Aiden Hill being there says more about the destitute of fucking Canada's goaltending than it says about Aiden Hill. So fuck you guys. But look I think they brought Sam Montembeault, and I like that. I think Sam Montembeault's he's really good, but again, I think he's really good. I think he's kind of struggled a little bit this year, but again, he's going to be the third guy. It didn't really matter who they brought as the third guy. That guy's not playing.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just going along for the trip. Which is, where's the ship being played?
Aiden Hill winning Olympic gold for Canada, but making Ian insanely angry as great content. I'm glad I can help you out with that.
Where's the ship being played?
That
Like
gold medal
Toronto
doesn't count.
and
It's
Boston?
fucking it's Montreal and Boston. I believe.
Montreal and Boston. Oh, okay. Oh, that's great though. I mean, 2 markets that fucking hate each other. That's really cool.
I like it. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be fun, but it's like but I'm more excited for the Olympics.
Yeah, I would be too. Because
the Olympics is like, again, like this is fun, but it's 4 teams, right? Like you have teams like it's fun, but like it's because they couldn't put a World Cup together this quickly.
Yeah, and that's the other reason I think that I'm kind of like meh about the four nations. Like I would rather see the World Cup. The other thing being, it's like, last time I looked, Russia has some pretty good fucking players, but
Yeah, but
okay,
Russia's the pariah of the
yeah,
world right now.
yeah,
But
sure.
I'm kind of with you. Like, as much as it, look at Russia sucks. Like, I am not. This is not going to be where Ian comes and defends Russia. Russia sucks. They are run by a absolutely horrible fucking shitbag of a human being. And it sucks, right? And it sucks that they've kind of become the pariah of the world. But I still think, like, is it really best on best if Russia isn't there? And I say this as like, at the same time I say that, I also say, like, when's Russia really been good in a best on best situation
Yeah, that's
lately?
true. Yeah,
Other than like,
fair
they won
point.
the Olympics in 1 year, but it was like the NHL wasn't there. Like, I feel like every time the NHL's been there, Russia's underachieved pretty significantly. But I still, yeah, it's weird, right? Like, it's been so long now that Russia hasn't been around in these tournaments, and it sucks to punish athletes for for politics reasons. I think it sucks for the athletes who just like, that's their passport, man. Like, it's um they don't have a ton of control over that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm looking right now. It's like, we've had a decent live stream viewers, but I'm seeing that it's like we only have 12 thumbs up. I'm going to tell you this right now. I've got a Hawaiian shirt,
Ooh.
got a stack of like autographed cards. I'm not giving. I'm not, dude.
Hot Wheels, great. Now he's the angry Canadian. Now he's the angry Canadian robot Russian sympathizer. Look at, again, people.
I'm just saying, I'm not giving away anything unless we hit 30 likes minimum.
All right. I like, again, Russia sucks, but I think people, the people don't all suck, right?
And I like Tyga. He's all the digits are available to Tyga.
I gave a thumbs up and a middle finger was up for Ian. Fair. I'm looking forward to the comments after this one. I think it's
Right?
going to be fun.
But dude, seriously though, the manufactured hype around the Four Nations roster, around the like the reveal of the Chicago and St. Louis jerseys, or what
Yeah.
Wrigley Field's gonna look like, knock it off. Like, maybe just sometimes play it like Kendrick or Taylor Swift, and just put it out without fluffing the audience into oblivion. Like, please, can we not for once?
Like Butch, I think Butch has a great point here, right? Soviet teams played in North America and Western teams all the time in the middle of the Cold War. And that's kind of what I go back to, because like there was no, like, Russia sucks now, but are they any worse than they were during the Cold War? I would argue no.
Yeah, I would.
Like,
I'm
look
there
at,
with
man,
you.
like, get them the fuck out of the Ukraine for sure. 100%. Get them the fuck out of Ukraine. I 100% agree with that. Like, don't
Go back
don't
to your
get it
own country.
like, don't get it fucking twisted here. I'm not like, but I just think at some point, like, it would be nice to get Russia back in these things.
Yes, or at least Russian players.
Yeah.
Hold on. What the fuck is this? Troy saying, "What do you think the hockey guy video of San Jose home numbers of the years?" What?
Gotta
What?
elaborate. I'm not
Oh
sure.
yeah.
What we're-
What do you think the hockey guy video of San Jose home? Not Troy. You're gonna have to do a better job. Like, I've had a couple beverages tonight, and that's still not making sense to me. But if you parse it out, I'll play.
just reword that, and I will do my best.
A lot of hyperbole was lobbed around by of course, by our friend Brody, along with a few others, that evidently there's something about a golden at bat rule, and it's now, and you have to realize, I'm somebody who last summer went to see the Savannah Bananas. If you don't know, they're the fucking Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, and
I watched them on YouTube. It was fun.
They're great. And one of the things that they have is that they can just, willy-nilly during a game be like, I don't care what it says, this guy is supposed to be coming up in the order. We don't fucking care. We're bringing up our best guy right now for this moment. So I was just kind of like, all right, it's a silly and stupid fucking idea, but let's parse it for the NHL. Could you see the NHL changing the rules so that teams can choose whoever they want? Like, say for some reason, like, I don't know who the fucking worst guy on Edmonton is, but say he draws a penalty or a penalty shot, I should say, and they're like, no, we're going to have McDavid do it. You know what I mean? Or you take it a step further. During the shootout attempts, Sam Reinhart is a fucking monster for the Panthers. Should he be able to do all 3 shootout attempts? Should the Sharks be able to just, like, Granlund, just stay out there until we score and win?
So I don't watch cricket. No, like here's the thing with the NHL, right? Like, I think all those ideas are cool, which is why the NHL won't do them. Like, this is a league where you had to fight the players to put fucking helmets on, and then you had to fight them another 20 years to put fucking visors on.
You're right.
Like,
And they
you think
fucking
this-
held
you
on
think
to
this
it
league
for
is gonna
a
have
long
fun?
time, dude.
You think this league's gonna allow us to have fun? Like,
Yeah, when
I
does
don't
that
know
ever
what's
happen?
going on. Like, I don't watch baseball. I've never been a big baseball fan. Like, it's a long time. There's a lot of fucking games. And yeah, I just, and they play at weird times. Like, it's like, oh, it's a Wednesday afternoon here at Skydome or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck it's called now, right? Like, who's got fucking time for that? I'm at work.
Exactly. Baseball is an old man's game.
I don't know, man. So I don't know I don't know what's happening with ratings. I don't have my finger on the pulse of baseball, so I don't know if they need the shot in the arm or if they're just trying to, like, I don't know. Are young people watching sports at all? Like, I wonder. I do wonder about that. If, like, young people are watching sports as much as previous generations have.
Dude, if it isn't on TikTok, why not? Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I think that younger people are maybe not tuning in with the same numbers that our generations did.
Oh, no way in hell.
So I can see them trying to juice it up, but I think the end of the day is, like, if I don't know, this is generalizing, so maybe I shouldn't say that, but it's like, if your content isn't 45 seconds, then fuck off.
Well, here's the thing that I think is very funny.
Says the guy who's going to be on, like, a 2-hour podcast tonight.
Yeah, but here's the difference, though. Here's the thing that I think is so funny is that when it comes to like live broadcast or like talk, if people having a discussion or whatever, I'm more than fine listening to that after the fact. Sports is really the only thing where it's like, I need to be involved in that as it's happening. Like, I cannot
100%.
watch.
Yeah.
Like, if a Sharks game, and I know that there are some people that, and God love you. I don't have this trait, but I know that there are some people that say, let's just use yesterday as an example.
Okay.
A couple had to go out. They had plans. They had shit to do between the hours of like 10 and 6. They had to go out and they had to fucking live life. Then they get home at 6:30, but they recorded the Sharks game against Florida. They want to watch the Sharks game. I'm one of those guys. I can't do that. I'll watch the 10-minute synopsis on Sportsnet or NHL. I will do something like that, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to fucking sit through 2.5 hours of something where the what has happened has already been determined. I'm not going to do that.
That would be me until this year, where, like, this is, if I would not be able to do the show if I didn't watch games the next day.
Yeah.
Because I just, like, I have to be up in the morning, and I picked a team that plays at 10:30 at night because I'm a fucking idiot.
But my point being is that,
like myself.
Yeah, I can't do that type of shit. But the thing I think is kind of funny, though, is that I have yet to meet a single person that said, whether they record it or whether they're want to be involved with it live, not once in my entire life have I ever spoken to another sports fan about an upcoming game. Have I ever heard somebody go, I can't wait to go home and listen to that game. I can't wait to watch that game.
Sure.
So when it comes to that type of shit, I don't give a, and I'm like, I guarantee you, the audio ratings that Dan Rusanowski gets are a fucking, such a tiny little minuscule version of what Randy and Drew get. And I'm sure that that's the case along all sports because let's be honest, you're
100%.
that involved, you want to watch the fucking game. Now, I'm seeing people here are trying to expand on this hockey guy thing. So I guess Hockey Guy did a video talking about the NHL attendance numbers over the past 10 years. And okay, so what did he say? And I like Tyga. He goes, fuck, the hockey guy is running low on content ideas already, eh?
I mean, look at doing that kind of YouTube. Like I will give full marks to people that can pump out YouTube content. Like,
hey,
like
if you
Hockey
can
Guy
pump
does.
out daily shit when there is literally nothing to talk about, I mean, manufacture your content. Go ahead.
Yeah. I get props. I couldn't do it. Like I don't.
Dude, my attention span is not even that fucking large.
Like
but,
I do 2 after darks in a week and I'm burnt out.
Right. But about home attendance, I mean, okay, so what did he say? When teams win, they tend to sell out. When teams lose, they tend to not sell out. Okay, that's the video.
Yeah, like I think
Really?
like to talk about the Sharks, I'm sure the numbers are bad, right? Obviously, when the team was good, they were doing good. But even when even at the tail end when they were good, they started losing market share. The arena wasn't like even at the tail end of when they were still a good team. Like attendance was already slipping at that point. So obviously,
Yes.
when the team became absolute dog shit, attendance is going to slip. And this is the thing. Like, and people will always point out like, oh, well, look at these, look at all these empty seats. Hockey doesn't belong there, blah, blah, blah. But it's like the same in like there's a lot of markets where it's like that.
Yeah, but you know
Even
what
quote unquote
though?
good markets. Like look at no, but I think like people will use that as like a pompous, oh well, look at these fucking Sunbelt teams. Look at fucking that fucking whatever it's called now, fucking Little Caesars Arena.
The dojo.
Right? Is it packed to the gills every game? No, of course it fucking isn't. Why? Because the team's fucking dog shit and they have no direction.
Yeah.
Like I just hate how like Northerners like myself like use that as a oh well, look at these teams don't belong there, and because they're mad because they're an Ottawa Senators fan, their team's been dog shit for 20 years and they're mad that Sunbelt teams have success. It's like, no, well, look at those fans, they don't deserve it. Like, shut up.
Well, I mean, I'm going to there's a couple things here. First off, I see like a Tiger saying Shannon has more than one channel due to the machine. Yeah, it's like I know he has
YouTube's
like
his job.
Entertainment. Yeah, YouTube producing fucking content is his thing, just randomly sitting there jabbering about hockey and entertainment and whatever. I mean, dude, it's a great gig if you can get it, I would imagine.
No, don't get me wrong, man. If I could just sit around my house and do fucking YouTube all day, that'd be amazing.
But my thing is, okay, when does guy get a vacation? That's the whole thing about the content producers, where it's like you got to have something every day. Well, then when do you fucking get a break? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, yes, dude. and of course you can, pre-record. Brody is the king of this. He'll fucking record a week's worth of video on a Sunday, and then boom, he can fucking go take vacation Monday through Thursday or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I get that part of it, but god damn, I just, I don't. Again, like, I'm not trying to put him down or anything like that. My deal is just, I'm just not somebody who likes to manufacture content. I don't want to, when they used to have that, like, making the band, I don't want to see how the soup is made. Just give me the hits. Give me the performance. Give me the song. I don't give a fuck how you're like, well, we would have taken that bass player, but he, like, pisses out his ass and we don't like it. He sits down when he pisses. So like, I don't give a fuck about all that shit.
I mean, but that's a whole different conversation.
But yeah, but and maybe, the quiet part needs to be said out loud. Dude, just some of the broadcasts, they're just not very good.
It's hard. Like I wish content creation was my job. but it's not. and I think like I think it would be fun, but I think like it's one of those be careful what you wish for things. I think like if we could do this and just do this, I don't know. Maybe I'd hate the Sharks when it was over.
Well, my whole thing was, just to like show everybody how the sauce is made.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you saw me on an After Dark? Like I did one. I want to say
you should
couple.
fight Jake Paul. Oh God, I'd die.
What?
Tiger says that I should go fight Jake Paul.
But like I did an After Dark a couple weeks ago. I think it's the first one I've done in like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's like my whole thing was, and part of this had to do with some of the feedback where it was just like, God damn, AJ's on every fucking show. Oh, okay, cool. I'll step back. You don't want me every day or after every game. Fine. How is once a week okay? Oh, and then everybody was like, yeah, okay, we can take AJ once a week. That's fine. Okay, cool. That's what I'm here for.
Beauty Man is right. I am not old enough to fight Jake Paul.
That's very true.
That's true. Thank God. Yeah, that guy would kill me, man. I'd die.
But like, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes you want to say the quiet parts out loud. And there's been a few comments tonight where it's triggered something on my head. And I'm like, oh, I really want to say something, but I probably shouldn't. But when it comes to the attendance at the tank, it comes down to win games.
Good team, good attendance, bad team, bad attendance. That's just how this works. Like I always get my shoulders up about it because again, being from up here and like listening to people talk about my team, especially when it was good, and being like, oh, well, they don't deserve that success, blah, blah, blah. Once the team's bad, all those people are going to disappear. And I think, yeah, sure, that turned out to be true for a lot of it. But again, like, it's like, you look at, again, like you go look at, well, why isn't Little Caesars a sell it every night? Fuck off.
Yeah. And dude, just look, now I will say, I think that there was a stretch there, like and it probably started in 2000. You had that really fun run against St. Louis. You had Chris Pronger crying like a bitch. You had Owen Nolan scoring from center ice. Then you move it out a couple years. It's 2004. It's the first time they ever get to the Western Conference Finals. And then it's against their former fucking goaltender. Oh, what a kick in the balls. Then you have the fucking lockout season, and then it's kind of a reset, and then, you start off a season where you suck, and then what happens? A fucking night at the end of November, a random night in Dallas, and you fucking trade for a guy who would turn around your franchise for the next 15 years.
Yeah, and I know, and I'm probably gonna trigger someone that like, look, like the numbers are like good in Detroit, but like it's not a sellout every game, right? That's my point. Like I'm not saying like the Little Caesars is empty by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not as full as it could be, and it would be packed if the team was winning.
Well, and remember, tickets distributed versus tickets used,
correct?
Totally different things. But
yeah,
the Sharks sign Jumbo. Changes the franchise for the next decade and a half.
Mm-hmm.
They go on a ridiculous run of success. They're selling out games all over the fucking place. And then I think it was
but they didn't win, and then the Giants started winning, and then the Warriors
No.
The
They didn't win after the first 5 years. Then the Giants started winning. But when the Giants started winning in 10, 12, and 14, the Sharks were still doing very well during that frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Giants started to peter off. And then it was like, the Sharks are like, oh, it's our time, bitches. And then that's when the Warriors were like, excuse us. And then the Warriors started doing well. But still, it was just this case of like all the hockey heads from the time Thornton was signed to the end of that decade where they made it to the Cup final and couldn't get it done. I'm telling you, I think that there is a large section of people that it's like, I was fucking ride or die with you, for
Mhm.
all this time. Here was the moment. And then what happened the following year? Didn't they get like bounced in the first round to Edmonton?
Yeah,
And
but they were held together with fucking
yeah,
duct
they,
tape
they were,
off
but it
the
was
stick.
just like, I think it was the whole thing of like, they got blue balled to death. And it's like, if they
Yeah,
all would have fucking had like the group orgasm in 2016, they'd be
sure.
selling out games today. But it was the fact that it was just like,
I don't think so.
20s. I think a little bit is that. And at the same time, I think a little bit is the pricing out
Yeah,
where the Barracuda came to town and they were like, oh, look at this. This is also hockey in the Bay Area at a
but no one
much
goes
more
to
fun
Barracuda
price
games.
point. Huh?
But Barracuda games are empty.
They are, well, but not necessarily. There was a pretty decent crowd this
I don't
weekend.
think that. Yeah, I think because it was Teddy Bear Toss.
Yeah, sure. But either way, it's like there were, that's still, even if or the Barracuda, even if they draw 400 people, away
Mhm.
from the Sharks, that's 400 people that instead of paying, you know, $30 for parking are paying $5 for parking.
Yeah, I don't.
It's
Again, I think that there might be a pull there. I just don't think it's significant.
all right. And the other thing, again, quiet part out loud, when the Sharks began in this in San Jose, 93, I know it's 91, but that first 2 years were in San Francisco. When they started 93, 94 for that first decade, at the beginning of the decade, we were not necessarily the tech bro capital of the world. And by the end of it, with the internet and everything and blah, 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 and then over the next 20 years, let's be honest if we can. This is not me lamenting, like I'm not
Mhm.
wishing anybody any ill will whatsoever. I'm just like, I lived here, lived through it. I saw it happen. The demographic of the Bay Area shifted significantly. And a lot of the people that came in to work here, whatever, maybe not hockey fans. Maybe the people
Yeah,
that left were hockey fans. They're like, no, I'm getting out of the Bay Area. And we've also seen like the Giants, again, they fucking drew like motherfuckers and they were winning.
yeah. Winning sells. I mean,
And
that's
and that's the whole point. Same thing with the Niners.
Mhm.
It's just winning sells. So when I see hockey, what's his name again? Hockey, what,
The
Terry?
hockey guy.
What,
Shannon.
Shannon. Yeah. Yeah. When I see that, I'm like, and to be fair, like I give him all the credit in the world because evidently he's got fucking 18 games going at once, and somehow he's able to pay attention to all of
I
them
wish
and
my brain
whatnot.
could do that.
But I sit there and there's been more than a few times I've listened to his like post game report thing or what, end of the night wrap up, whatever. And I'm like, did he even watch the Sharks game? Or he's talked about things where he brought up the Sharks, and I'm like, that's not even close. But, I guess God love you. Anyway.
I think it's a situation too where I think if you're trying to cover like a lot, you're probably using social media for a lot of
And
your.
you're going to stretch yourself thin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I mean, I am the angry Canadian robot, and I can watch barely 2 games at a time. So I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly. And then finally, to wrap this up before we get to the other fun team,
Mhm.
if you came here from my comments on Anna Kane or Puff Diddy, dude, I am 50 shades of don't give a fuck. Like, to me, she proved she was a fucking loon back when she was posting all that shit about
Oh,
Evander. And now
jeez.
that this shit is coming out, like, this, you talk
I
about,
didn't think this
again,
was real.
somebody who has, shall we say, no points banked. You have banked no points. You like
This is a real thing. I thought this was a joke. I
no,
didn't realize
this
it was
is
a real thing.
evidently some real shit. She said a whole bunch of shit about Evander, and then when the NHL said, "Do you have any receipts?" She said, "Well, no, aside aside from trust me, bro."
Trust
And
me, bro.
and that's not to say that like Evander Kane is some like, shrinking violet.
Paragon of
Like,
society.
yeah, like that dude probably has his fucking issues too.
Oh,
Like if you're that big of a douche that you're fucking taking a photo of yourself on a Vegas balcony holding wads of money, you're kind of a douche. But
yeah, I think they deserved each other.
yeah, it's like crazy is a magnet for crazy. So to see that she is evidently part of this whole Diddy investigation or is suing him, whatever it is,
Oh my God,
because
they
she was
blame her.
17. There's also a little part of me that kind of goes, "Hey Anna, when do you like take responsibility for your own actions and putting yourself in these situations and like not
Oh,
leaving?"
I don't know about that. I just like this bitch is
Eh,
crazy. Like,
I don't know. Dude, there was more than a few times when I was like 15, 16, 17 that I was like, I was invited to a soiree, if you will, or whatever, but I was invited to a get together. And when I got to this get together, there was pot, there was Coke, there was
sure.
other shit. And I was I looked at my buddy and I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. And and they were just like, oh, how come you don't want to hang out? I'm like, because this is not my jam.
Yeah, this is my scene. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, drugs aren't my scene. You want to fucking play some like 1941, or you want to get down on some video games or some mini golf, or you want to fucking like jam on a song. You see the guitars hanging behind me. I'm a big music fan. Hey, you want to fucking jam? I'll play all night long with you. If you want to do coke and smoke joints, that's not my jam. I like to do productive things.
Okay.
So anyway, I heard all that shit. I mean, do you? I'm just saying, don't involve me unless I'm interested.
Yeah.
But Anna
I didn't
Kane,
realize this was real. I thought this was a joke. I
No.
didn't realize this was a real thing.
dude, Anna Kane, take some fucking responsibility. And with that, we move
Oh,
on to
God. Help
something
us all.
a little more fun.
Ooh, Barracuda.
All righty. Beverage time. Oh, it's so good. All right. So we have a team that is 14-6. Oh my God. Currently second by percentage, just behind Calgary. Calgary will not give the CUDA a single break.
They're a machine.
Oh, I'm telling you. And I love Crafty Koala in the chat. And he goes, so what I'm hearing is AJ did coke with Anna Kane. Is that what it was? Absolutely. So San Jose, the CUDA have 2 games in hand, 8 wins in their last 10 matchups. It started early, midweek. San Diego, not the greatest game, 2-1 loss. CUDA could not buy a goal. And somehow Askarov doesn't get any of the 3 stars after turning aside 34 of 35 and stopping 10 shots in a 12-round shootout? What the hell versus the goals, Ian?
I know. Yeah. So this is there's obviously, like I mentioned earlier, there are games that I have to watch after the fact, and I just could not find the time to fit this one in. Unfortunately, so I don't have a ton to say about this game other than they lost and it's unfortunate.
All right. We'll move on to the weekend versus Coachella because that's more
sorry,
fun.
I apologize. Normally I do my best to, but there was no time this week to fit that game in. It just, things were busy.
See, it's a lot of hockey. I mean, it was Sharks Tuesday,
yeah,
CUDA Wednesday, Sharks Thursday, so you
gotta have
some
and shows to do. Like I had to do that. I didn't have to, but I did
You
2 of the post games. I chose to do 2 post games. So it was like it's hard to get everything in sometimes, and
that's fine.
That game had to go to the wayside. And it was like I'm looking and I'm like 2-1. Do I really need to watch this? Do I really need to watch this?
It's like, can I watch a 5x playback?
Yeah. and Jules saying it was like the most boring thing ever, and that's the case, right? Like you're trying to force your way through it, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So we got a pair versus the Coachella Firebirds this weekend.
Spicy chickens.
I'm sorry?
The spicy chickens.
Yeah, spicy chickens at TechCU. And this is if you look at it from one side of it, you kind of go, it could have been a little better because it was collectively a 3-1 win over the
Hmm.
weekend. But you're like, fuck you. They won both of them. Shut up. Right? Because
Hmm.
thankfully, a single coup de goal was scored. So the fans were able to toss some teddy bears. And
Yes.
it would literally be all Askarov would need to pitch his third shutout of the season. Following this game, Yaroslav posting the best save percentage in the AHL at 945, his goals against at 1.76. And I think all Sharks fans who also root for the goalies kind of sporting a half chub at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, look at the one thing I'll say about this weekend, what I really liked about the Barracuda is obviously they go into a spell where the offense dries up a little, right? But I like that they didn't try to force anything. They didn't become bad defensively because they were trying to force plays that weren't there. Like I really liked how they stuck to their game plan even though the offense dried up. I think that was my big takeaway from this weekend that I really liked from the Barracuda was like they didn't you could tell there was definitely some frustration there that the offense wasn't working, but I they didn't start cheating. I thought they played very similar to the way they played all year when they were scoring lots of goals. And I really like that from the team this weekend. Again, like were these the most exciting games ever? No, but um, they stuck with it and they played their game and they weren't cheating on offense, which I liked. And both goalies were good. And I think if I do try to give heroes and zeros. So my hero of the week is going to be Georgi Romanov, who played today. Maybe it's a little bit recency bias, but look at when he came back into the lineup and he got healthy. Gabriel Carrier is a guy that they did not send back down to Wichita, right? So like, is this going to be a three-headed monster situation again? I don't know, but I think that he played good enough to stick around. So Georgi Romanov was kind of on notice, and I thought he came in today and played a really, really good game to help the Barracuda win. I thought he made some really, really good saves. Like
We're not there yet.
again,
We're not there
I know,
yet.
but that's kind of like that's how I feel.
Before we get to the second one,
Yeah. Okay. I jumped the gun. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. Before we get to the second one, because I need you to vamp for a second, but we're also going to get Jules and Lacey involved. Is McCarthy suddenly like not the coach that we have been lambasting for the last couple of seasons because now he finally has some talent? Or is it a case of, oh, fuck, dude, like Calgary wouldn't even be in the top spot if they had a coach that wasn't McCarthy?
So I still think John McCarthy sucks. Look, there's like if you look at the Barracuda, like they're winning and winning matters, right? But I also look at the pieces that they have, and I think that the pieces are significant. But this team still has issues that in my opinion, are coaching related. I think that this team is still incredibly undisciplined at times. I think that's coaching. I'm not, again, like I think this team is good. The problem with the Barracuda and trying to figure out how good they are is they only really play in the Pacific Division. Yeah, they play a couple teams here and there against teams in the Central, but like because you play in the Pacific, and I think the Pacific Division isn't that good. Like I think there's a clear, like after the Wranglers and after the Barracuda, I think there's a significant drop off in the rest of the teams in the Pacific Division. I don't know if Kevin would agree with me on that, but that's kind of my opinion. So I don't know. Like I always like, I think the Barracuda are doing great, and I like what the Barracuda are doing, but I do wonder what would happen if they had to play some of the other powerhouses of the league a little more regularly, other than the Calgary Wranglers.
So taking advantage of the fact you're in a weak division.
I think, and the fact that you have, like, I think Yaroslav Askarov in net significantly improves your team. Again, like having good players will help, obviously, right? And I think that the Barracuda, like, this is probably the best. This might be one of the best teams the Barracuda have ever had. I know that one team that went on the run to the Western Conference Finals was pretty good. It's obviously a contender, but like I look at this team and like there's a lot there to like.
Well, and so hold on here. Lacey says that's why I thought it was important that the Barracuda took a game from Toronto and 2 over Iowa. Didn't wasn't it the opener in Tech CU that that the Barracuda just fucking pee smacked Iowa, like blew them out of the fucking building like 5-0?
Yeah, and I think going to Toronto is doing good. Like they've done good against other teams. I just think if it's hard when you only see other teams so so rarely, and you see mostly just the division. And that's travel in the AHL. That's how this has to work. The AHL is not a big travel. Like they would go bankrupt if they played like a schedule like the NHL plays. And again, I'm not trying to
and these guys are taking Southwest to Ontario versus, charters to fucking
right. And like I don't want people to get mad at me again. You're like, oh God, Ian's being negative. I'm not being negative. The Barracuda are doing really good. I like the Barracuda. I enjoy watching the Barracuda this year. But I have questions about how good they are really compared to the rest of the league. Because they don't play enough of the other teams to really get a good feel for that.
But they're always mad at
you. Yes.
All right. So earlier today, the second game against Coachella, a 2-1 victory. Barracuda winning their second straight against Coachella, just behind the Cuda in the standings. So huge wins.
Yeah, but I don't think I will say this about the Coachella Valley Firebird. They are not last year's Coachella team.
No, they're I don't want to say they're like frauds, but like you're saying, they're not
the same team they were last year.
Yeah. But Bordelot, I mean, a name that I don't think that we have said, sadly enough this season. Mm-hmm. Bordelot has a game-tying goal. Hull, it's the game winner, and Mukamadulin picks up primaries on both goals. The Cuda now undefeated 3-0 against the Firebirds. And the really fun part, if you look up the advanced stats, the Cuda, who saw this coming, lead the division in power play goals against, and shorthanded goals for. They also have the best PK in the AHL at 9.
The way they take penalties, they better.
That's what I'm saying, right? So, I mean, but that's the whole thing, is that it affords you to kind of play on the edge if your PK is that badass, right?
For sure. 100%. I think that helps a lot. And yeah, I think, takeaways, like I said, I think Mukamadulin is starting to finally look at Mukamadulin again, which is good. Obviously it's December, and I understand he had a late start, missed camp, all that stuff, and it did take him a little to get going, but it's nice to see that he's starting to look like himself again. And I think he's going to hopefully play himself in a situation, because a lot of people were talking about Mukamadulin being on the Sharks this year.
Yeah, I don't know who those people were, but stop.
And well, I think I think if you looked at it,
well, maybe that was Thompson, also an indictment of the Sharks' blue line.
Well, I think I don't think people had you look at the prospects, right? And I think you look at you compare a guy like Thompson to Mukamadulin. Obviously, Mukamadulin's got more cachet. He's the more sexy of the two players. I think Thompson surprised a lot of people being as good as he's been, which obviously he, again, and life's about taking advantage of opportunities, right? Mukamadulin gets injured and he's not in the mix. And so Thompson, you can come in and he gets the opportunity and he runs with it. But I'm happy that my point is I'm happy that Mukamadulin's finally playing himself into a situation now where I think if he can keep this up for, going forward, then the talk about when does he get to come up and get a few games with the Sharks.
Well, this week, the Cuda have 3 on the road. And how fun is this? At Coachella. So 3 straight against Coachella. That's going to be fun. Don't say that there isn't going to be a lot of nipping at the heels. And in fact, Hull, at the end of earlier today, the game between the Cuda and Coachella, talked about that there was starting to be a little kind of, shall we say, bad blood between the two, a little feistiness. So the fact that the Cuda are going to play at Coachella and for a third time in a row, woo, that could be a game that is on the road that Ian goes, okay, middle of the week where he goes, okay, this one might be all right.
Yeah, last year that would have been a 3-game fucking losing streak.
Oh, yeah, you're not wrong.
So here, I want to read what Kevin just put in the chat, 'cause I think it's very
Say
true.
it, baby.
So here's the difference for me. I think that this goes to your coaching question. The defense has several veterans who know what to do and how to win. Last 2 years, defense was young and they relied on a coaching system, which I believe failed them. And I would 100% agree with what Kevin is saying here. The one thing that the Barracuda did really good this year was they brought in guys. They brought in guys like Lucas Carlson. They brought in guys like Podorowski. They did, this is a
Podorowski's been
Barracuda team
fantastic.
that really didn't go out and get veterans for a long time. And when they kind of tried to do it last year, what happened? They ended up on the Sharks all year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, dude,
this
look
year
at
they brought
Graf,
in,
dude. Graf can't buy a ticket to SAP.
right. I know. And so I think this year they've done a good job of that. And like when they've had to call people up, it's been Gushchin, it's been Cardwell. It has been that type of player where it's not like, oh, we'll just call Podorowski up and it'll, that'll be fine. Because that's what happened the years prior, right? It wasn't the kids getting a look. It was, oh, we'll bring up Andre because a guy who's just gonna be an AHL for the rest of his fucking life.
Or it's just whoever's at the top of the fucking score sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like Schultz, another guy that I didn't mention, and Kevin saying like now the young guys like Hegnoni Furlong can learn from Schultz, Carlson, and Keane to develop properly. And I think that's that is exactly what's going on. I think that there's more veteran guys there. I don't think John McCarthy is a particularly good coach, and like it's going to take a lot to change my mind on that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the CUDA, they got 3 on the road this week at Coachella. Yeah. So, finishing off 3 in a row, that's going to be fun. Then at San Diego, who, as I said, the CUDA lost 2-1 last Wednesday. So hopefully you can get some redemption there. And then finish it off at Ontario. The really interesting thing.
Yeah, losing to the Gulls is fucking, you can't lose to the Gulls.
Yeah, like, how the fuck are you doing that?
That's not allowed. That needs to stop right now.
But the only bummer is kind of, like we're sitting here December 8th, the CUDA only have 1 home game left this month. That's a bummer, dude.
They've been at home a lot so far.
a decent amount. Yeah, a decent amount. But it's just kind of like throughout the month of December, it's like, fuck, only, but like, I was kind of hoping to, like I have a holiday shutdown for the company that I work for. I was kind of like looking forward to like, hey, maybe we get a CUDA game. No, fuck you. You're not watching CUDA. Unless you want to drive somewhere. But anyway, let's move on to our prospect of the week, at least at this point. Heads up on Cameron Lund.
Yes.
Chief,
really well.
18 points in 14 games with Northeastern University. And that includes 8 goals. So, like, like if you look at the Sharks PR, and with every reason to do so, it's just Dickinson.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. Like Dickinson's like on a I think a 2 point a game pace right now, and it's just silliness.
So insane. But there are other pieces that I'm like totally jonesing for. Cagnoni, definitely one. I loves me some Can. The Dickinson, of course, but Cameron Lund, I'm just saying, pay attention. He could be picking up and getting on a heater. We'll see. We're going to see what happens. But remember to follow Teal Town USA on the Twitter, along with Ian Reed, Sharks Jules, and Kevin Lacey, because they are the ones that follow that, along with Mark E. Mark, by the way. They're the ones that follow that group of the almost Sharks as we can. And, Sharks. See, I loves me some Jules. She calls me out. Pole camp, my God. Have I been talking about some pole camp for a little while. So coming up this week for the Sharks, they will finish a so-so split of a 6-game roadie. They're heading to Carolina on Tuesday, who are 3rd in the Metro. Dude, they only have lost 3 home games.
Yeah, Carolina is fascinating because I think like Carolina, like, come the playoffs, they don't scare me because I always feel like they're just like,
Yeah,
I don't think there's a team that's underachieved more in the playoffs than the Carolina Hurricanes. But like,
you're
no
right.
matter what happens to that team, no matter who goes down, it's crazy. Like the way that they can just plug and play guys and like nothing seems to drop off and everything just keeps rolling, no matter who falls out of that lineup. Yeah, look at that's going to be a rough game for the Sharks.
It's
The pain might not stop there.
and it's going to be interesting to see with Giovanni Smith on waivers. Do the Sharks get Goodrow back, or is it a case of Marc-Edouard Vlasic?
I don't know why they'd carry AD though.
Well, they're all on the road. There's only 2 more left. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? I'm just, as far as I know, I believe that Vlasic did go on the trip that started in Seattle.
I believe so. I don't know that for certain, but that sounds right.
I'm pretty sure he did. So, yeah, I kind of sit there and go, I don't know about that. Then they're going to hit St. Louis on the way back, currently 5th in the Central. Only 2 losses in their last 6, because I know, St. Louis, all the stick taps in the world to our buddies over at Let's Go Blues Radio. St. Louis, not the most scary team in the Central by any stretch. However, only 2 losses in their last 6.
Yeah, coaching change bump helps. I feel bad for Drew Bannister.
I mean, I can get that. Shit happens, but it's
22 games, man. 22 games as a head coach.
Dude. So, I mean, so you win back-to-backs with Seattle.
Yeah.
That starts your trip, but it's like Seattle, DC, that, the first 2 of your road trip, you win those. And let's, I obviously the win at home for San Jose against Seattle was a bit more of a kind of like, just drive it in there, with 8 goals on there. But either way, they made the huge win in Seattle. Then they hold the highest scoring team in the league to 1 goal in DC, and then knocked, the dick is knocked in the dirt twice with Florida. I'm going to sit here and say it. Florida, they looked tentative. They were playing hopeful hockey. It kind of felt like they got shook by Tampa in Florida. Let's see if they can stretch that and hopefully kind of shake the monkey, get it off their back against Carolina. But yeah, I'm with you, dude. I'm thinking that's going to be 3 straight losses on the coast.
I will say this about the way the Sharks ended the week too. Because we talked earlier about the 4 nations and like how like guys like Eklund didn't get a call, or Zetterlund, and I do wonder if that because that kind of coincided with how the week went completely off the rails. And I do think, like, look at the Florida teams are really good, but I do wonder if there's a somewhat that disappointment from that bleeding into it a little.
Yes, I would agree with that. But yeah, Florida teams might be good. I mean, what?
It might be good.
3 cups in the last 5 years?
Yeah. Might be good.
Yeah. And then it all culminates at SAP, the first ever. I might have to get tickets for this because it's just the first time ever seeing the Utah Hockey Club, currently 6th in the Central, 5th, or playing 500 hockey almost to a T.
Yep.
So you would think that, look, they might get it fed to them. They might, to coin a jerk term, they might get stuffed into their locker versus Carolina. Carolina might take their lunch money, but you would think that St. Louis hopefully begins a rebound, and then you finish that with Utah. That takes you into how the end of 2024 is going to end for you. And, it's not horrible because, oh, wait, Winnipeg. It's not horrible. Oh, Winnipeg comes to town,
Winnipeg.
right? But here's the fun part, though, is that after San Jose comes home, aside from a quick jaunt to Edmonton on the 21st, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 of 9 games are at home, And the only game that is out of their time zone is just the Edmonton game. So, barely out of the time zone. So basically I'm saying that like December is set up for you to have a nice little comeback for the holidays.
3-point week, maybe. I feel like 3 points would be a good week for them.
Let's go Carolina, St. Louis, Utah. You know what? I'm gonna say and I'm not putting money on this, so it means fuck all. I think they'll probably lose to Carolina. We'll see what healthy players that they get back.
I think they could. Except I look at Utah. I feel like Utah's a winnable game. I think the Blues are a winnable game
I think
too.
St. Louis is very winnable, but I think that's going to be a win in overtime.
Yeah, that's why I don't know, man. I say 3 points. I think if you can get 3 points this week, I think that's a good week.
Well, if memory serves, I mean, they opened the season against St. Louis, and it was a 5-4 loss in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I see on the calendar it says November 21st they played at St. Louis. I don't remember if they won or lost. I feel like I can't remember. Either way, look, 3 games are coming up this week. At Carolina, at St. Louis, hosting Utah. I think splitting that 500 I think is very doable. I think pulling 4 points is actually more
4
doable.
points would be nice. I think look at if they can pull 4 points out of this week. I mean that would be a really good week.
Sharks Jules putting the over under at 3.5, which I think is absolutely perfect.
That's probably where I'd put the line.
Yeah, so
I'd probably take the under, but I think that if they can get the over, that would be really good. Like that would be a really good week for the Sharks.
All right, look, this is something that I used to do with Jerk. We would like to do some bets here from there. So Jules setting over under at 3.5. You're saying you're going to take the under? I'm going
to take the under.
I'm going to take the over for a crispy fiver.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, it's going to take me like 17 years for PayPal to give you the 5, but yeah, we'll do it.
All right. Somebody put the money on the board. Put the money on the board. We're going to do that. So
don't get me wrong, like I'd be ecstatic with the over. I think that'd be a really good week for the Sharks. I think 3 points would be also like it would be a good, like it'd be good. I think 4 points would be great.
All right. Here it is.
All right.
There's the fin. There's the fin. I don't want any of this Looney Toony shit either. Like it's got to be an actual fucking.
I will give you $5. That's fine. I will work it out. It'd be $7 Canadian. Find out. I don't know.
All right. Can you see it back there still? Yeah, you can see it back there. All right. So the 5 is sitting there in the frame.
$7.08. So there you go.
We put that shit on the board. So the 5 is sitting back there on the board. Let me see. What did Paul say? Wouldn't it be $7 Canadian?
It's $7.08 actually.
It's a crispy fin. So remember to like and subscribe. Help keep us commercial free by using this. Not a single super chat tonight. We talked for 2.5 hours about a lot of fun stuff. You cheap bastards. None of you gave us a super chat. Oh, wait a minute.
What were you saying about showing stacks of money?
Hold on. Let me check Venmo. Hold on. Look at that. We got 800,000 fucking. Oh, no, we didn't. All right. Let me check my Venmo.
I can't send him money through the mail, Hot Wheels.
Let me check the Venmo. Yeah, no Venmo, no super chats. Man, we sit here and talk for 2.5 hours. Eric, Puck, whether it's Landy, Puck Guy, Jules, they'll talk for 28 minutes and you guys send them like 18 super chats. We're here for 2.5 hours, nothing. I'm just saying, I get it. It's fine.
Angry a lot. I'll say nicer things. Look at you super chat us. I'll say nicer things. No, I won't.
All right. Like and subscribe. Keep us commercial free. Hello. By using the super chat option during the live shows, or better yet, use the Venmo. Find us at Teal Town USA. Find links to our social media, podcast apps, and more in the show notes. Find everything on Toontown USA. Follow us on Blue Sky. And look at Jerry F. Not all heroes wear capes.
That's right.
Under the
Thank you.
wire, throwing in the super chat. Oh, wait a minute.
I appreciate you, guy.
Hold on. Jules saying that Dana and Jules got a 20. What? What? They got like 20 on one of the games, or what's going on here? We need
$20 in super chats.
Hold on. Oh, they got it. Oh, I see what you're saying. Hot Wheels. Single dollar A from
Love
Hot
you, buddy.
Wheels. Love it, dude. Appreciate you, Jude. And I like it. He follows it up with there. Now stop whining.
Yeah. Shut up. Shut up, you fucking wankers. Fair
Right.
enough. Let's go to bed.
Yeah. So we're going to be here next Sunday to wrap up yet another week. So like we said, we got the games against, God, that Carolina game is going to be huge. Carolina, St. Louis, and a Utah, and 3 on the road for the CUDA, Coachella, San Diego, and Ontario. I'm hoping that at least one of these teams comes back moving up in the standings. I don't know, dude. How the hell have the Wranglers been able to get such a ridiculous lead? I mean, dude, they're like 8-9 points ahead of the CUDA.
Yeah, they've been on a good run. This Wranglers team is really, really good.
Is it Cooley?
I think any goalie behind that team would be good. I don't want to shit on Devin Cooley, but I still think I feel like if that team had like Dustin Wolfbond, they'd never lose.
Oh, makes you wonder where the Flames are going to be in a couple of years.
I think it's just again, I think it's a situation where I think they've got a lot of decent veteran players. I think they've had a lot of surprise players too, kind of come in and be really good. From like Rory Kearns, a guy who I used to watch a ton of, has come in and he's been really, really good for them. I think their prospects. It's a good situation. I think it's a good mix of I don't think they have any A-flight prospects, but they got enough AHL veterans there and stuff. And they're a really good team, top to bottom.
All right. And I'm noticing it just came in after the wire. We got that 30th like, but again, it came in after the wire.
Okay. We'll do the giveaway next week.
No, yeah, I was going to say no giveaway this week. We're going to do a giveaway next week. It's going to be a signed placard, Hawaiian shirt. Might throw in a little something. And there you go. So follow us on all the social media, and thanks for joining us on your Sunday night. We will catch you all following Sharks at Carolina for After Dark. Good night, everybody.